Chapter 58, A Storm in the Banquet, 3. Everyone in the banquet hall was attracted by the commotion and gathered over inquisitively. Wang Xian looked at Master Bai San, Director Wu, Director Gong and Director Song with indifference and said plainly, "I have already beaten them. What do you guys want? How arrogant of you to admit to beating them. Hee, what do you think your outcome will be after beating Master Bai San's son?" A young man stood out and ridiculed Wang Xian upon hearing Wang Xian's reply. How? That's a good question. That's a good question. Master Bai San looked at the arrogant Wang Xian and sneered. We are at Qin family's banquet, so I wouldn't do anything yet. Once the banquet ends, I'll let you experience desolation. I'll let you know the outcome of crippling my son. Young lad, I don't care what kind of backing you have. I'll let you experience what is worse than death today. Director Wu stared fiercely at Wang Xian. I wonder who brought this underdressed lad in today. However, I wouldn't care who he is. You will pay the price for what you have done today. Director Song roared at Wang Xian. Who would have expected this lad to be so crazy to cripple the sons of Master Bai San, Director Gong, Director Song, and Director Wu? He must be really eager to die. Yeah. To wear casual attire to attend a banquet, his upbringing must be really bad. He truly deserves death. Even if the people of the four families were to cripple him, it wouldn't be considered overboard. If this lad were to even touch my son, I'd kill him no matter what. The crowd started dissing and criticizing Wang Xian. How could he wear such attire to attend this banquet? In my opinion, we should throw him out, the young man who spoke previously said towards Wang Xian once again. Shut up. Wang Xian sneered upon hearing the criticism of the crowd and the group of arrogant people from the four families. Who the fuck do you think you are? Asking me to shut up, the young man shouted at Wang Xian the moment Wang Xian completed his sentence. He walked to the side of Master Bai San and said, Master Bai San, this kid is really arrogant to beat Shuming. Let him know the consequences today. He's really arrogant. It's been a long time since I've seen such an arrogant young man. Master Bai San looked coldly at Wang Xian. Excuse me. Suddenly, a cold voice propagated from the entrance. Following which, a beautiful lady walked over. She was in a red dress and had light makeup on her. Overall, she gave off a distant feel to others. Her entrance attracted the attention of many people instantly. Many young men looked towards this figure fervently. The eyes of the young man standing beside Master Bai San lit up as he clenched his fist tightly. The eldest daughter of the Lan family, Lan Qingyue. She's the future successor of the Lan family, Lan Qingyue. The one beside her is the general manager of the Lan family, Lan Gongwen. He is also Lan Qingyue's uncle. The future successor of Deep Sea Jewelry, Lan Qingyue. They are the strongest listed company in Rivertown and could be considered as the leaders in the jewelry industry in the country. Some people saw Lan Qingyue and exclaimed softly. Hi, uncles, my friend is at fault for this incident. I would like to ask for forgiveness on his behalf. Lan Qingyue looked at Wang Xian and the cold look in her eyes flickered for a moment. She walked to the side of him and looked towards Master Bai San and the group. What? Why would Lan Qingyue try to protect this kid? What's the matter? Could it be that this lad has a good relationship with the Lan family? The surrounding crowd was surprised. Some people were even looking at Lan Qingyue with shock. Wang Xian was also looking at Lan Qingyue with bewilderment. He had not expected to see her at this place and had not expected her to help him. Lan Qingyue turned her head over, smiled at Wang Xian and commented, "What a coincidence." This smile was just as beautiful as 100 flowers blooming at the same time. The cold-looking Lan Qingyue had an indescribable charm. Thank you. Wang Xian expressed his gratitude to Lan Qingyue. Recalling that he had rejected her invitation for a meal twice, he suddenly felt a little embarrassed. Lan Qingyue smiled and nodded her head. She turned her attention towards Director Wu, Director Gong, Director Song, and Master Bai San. Dear uncles, please look past this incident for my sake. Miss Lan. When Director Wu, Director Gong and the group saw Lan Qingyue, their expressions changed. Deep Sea Jewelry was a large corporation with a market capitalization of close to $10 billion. This was more than 10 times greater than theirs. Even if the four families added their assets together, they still wouldn't be a match for Deep Sea Jewelry. The only one who wasn't wary was Master Bai San. This was because Bai family was an ancient martial artist family and couldn't be measured directly using typical cash value and background. However, Master Bai San still wasn't very pleased. After all, a family that was worth $10 billion would have a complicated and widely connected background. When one's money reached an outrageous amount, it could also be seen as one's strength. Miss Lan, this friend of yours crippled the arms and legs of my son. Aren't you being unreasonable to ask me to let this go? Master Bai San stared at Lan Qingyue, but his eyes were flickering. That's right, Miss Lan. My son was crippled because of him. If I just let this go, how would anyone show us respect in the future? Director Wu added with a solemn face. Uncles, I, Lan Qingyue, am willing to compensate for the injuries of your beloved sons. Please don't pursue this matter anymore for my sake, Lan Qingyue said with a determined look. Lan Qingyue's words caused the atmosphere of the surroundings to solidify. No one would have expected that the eldest daughter of Lan family would try to protect this wild lad and disregard the fact that she would be going up against four families. This caused a lot of young men in the crowd to be filled with jealousy. This lad doesn't deserve this at all. Guan Shicheng's expression also changed as he looked on with disbelief. Director Wu, Director Gong, Director Song and Master Bai San had a ghastly look. They had not expected that the eldest daughter of the Lan family would be so insistent on this matter, disregarding the chances of offending them in order to protect this young man. This caused them to be very embarrassed by the situation. What? What's the matter? However, at this moment, a frivolous voice sounded. A middle-aged man walked over from the inner area of the banquet hall and looked inquisitively towards the center. Everyone was surprised and turned their attention to their back. All of them saw a middle-aged man carrying an apple in hand, eating it while walking. Second Master Qin. Second Master Qin. Some people in the crowd immediately gave their greetings to this middle-aged man. Second Master Qin was looking a little pale and had serious eye bags. He also looked like a frivolous guy who liked to fool around. When the crowd saw his behavior, they didn't look down on him. Instead, they were addressing him as Second Master Qin with the utmost respect. This was because he was the second son of Old Qin, or an adopted son. Old Qin had a total of 2 sons. The second son was adopted and was the son of a war comrade of Old Qin. After his war comrade had passed away, he asked Old Qin to take care of his son. Old Qin took him in and adopted him as his son immediately. However, this adopted son was arrogant and cocky from a young age and got into a lot of trouble in Rivertown. He even caused the death of some people. Despite nearing his 40s, he still wasn't married and didn't have a child. Rumors had it that he had a strange fetish and Old Qin wasn't too fond of him. Despite all that, Old Qin valued relationships and had been turning a blind eye to the actions of this adopted son. Although he was an adopted son, he was still the second master in the Qin family. No matter how useless he might be, he was still high above the rest as his identity was known to everyone. Second Master. Master Bai San immediately called out Second Master Qin when he saw him. Bai family was inferior to Shui family and was even further behind Qin family. When Master Bai San saw Second Master Qin, he still had to greet him politely. Moreover, Master Bai San had always had a good relationship with Second Master Qin. What's the matter, Master Bai San? Second Master Qin asked Master Bai San before biting his apple. Second Master, please be the judge for us in this matter. Master Bai San explained the whole situation to Second Master Qin. In the end, he whispered something to Second Master Qin. What? Such a thing has happened? Second Master Qin looked ahead and his vision fell onto Wang Xian and Lan Qingyue. Oh, niece Qingyue, it's better if you stay out of this. This lad deserved the punishment for breaking the arms and legs of others. Wah! Upon hearing Second Master Qin's words, the crowd erupted. Since Second Master Qin has spoken, it would be pointless even if Lan Qingyue put in a good word for him. This lad is as good as dead. Chapter 59, A Storm in the Banquet, 4. Things changed once again. When everyone thought that Lan Qingyue could shield this lad, Second Master Qin put it to a stop. Second Master Qin was the godson of old Qin. Even though he was not the favorite son, his status was high enough to suppress Lan Qingyue, who had yet to inherit the deep-sea jewelry. True enough, Lan Qingyue frowned slightly when she heard what Second Master Qin said. Second Master Qin observed Wang Xian from head to toe. He then ditched the apple core in his hand into the trash. Lad, what an insensible lad to come to our function in casual wear. Who taught you to be ill-mannered? Second Master Qin, he is my friend. I hope you'll let him off on my account, said Lan Qingyue to Second Master Qin with a frowning look. Qingyue, we have to be reasonable. This fellow should bear the consequences since he broke the limbs of others. You better not involve yourself. Second Master Qin smiled at Lan Qingyue. Qingyue. The middle-aged man who has been following beside Lan Qingyue tugged her arm and shook his head. Since Second Master Qin is involved, you better leave this matter alone. You won't have any control over this. No way, uncle. He is my friend. Lan Qingyue gritted her teeth and looked at her uncle with determination. The middle-aged man shook his head again. Qingyue, don't be reckless. You have to spare a thought for the Lan family too. Without Second Master Qin's involvement, we can help. But... The middle-aged man shook his head. He could not understand why his niece insisted on helping this young man. If Second Master Qin was not involved, it did not matter at all since Lan family was capable of dealing with this. But the Qin family was the most influential family in the river town. Lan Qingyue had a drastic change in her expression. She looked at Wang Xian worriedly. This has got nothing to do with him. It was all because of me. Guan Shuqing shuddered as she stepped forward and spoke with determination in her eyes. Nonsense, all this happened because of that lad and has got nothing to do with the Guan family. Guan Shuqing, I don't have such a daughter like you. Guan Shuqing was trembling with anger as he bawled. It was I who beat them up. What has it got to do with you? Wang Xian felt comforted when Lan Qingyue lent him a helping hand, and when Guan Shuqing stood in his defense. He slowly walked to the middle of the ballroom and swept his gazes across Second Master Qin, Master Bai San and the rest of the people. With a cold voice, he said again, I did what I did. If things like this happen again, it won't be as simple as this time. Arrogant lad. After you walk out of this door today, I'll make sure you live in despair forever. Master Bai San growled at Wang Xian with a darkened expression. You're arrogant, simply too arrogant. When Second Master Qin saw Wang Xian's attitude, he sneered at him. Why don't we settle this matter now? A cold smile surfaced on Wang Xian's face as he walked slowly to Master Bai San. Wang Xian. Lan Qingyue, who was next to him, quickly called him when she saw Wang Xian walking over. There was no response from Wang Xian as he continued making his way to Master Bai San. How dare you create trouble in the Qin family's banquet? Second Master Qin's expression turned cold when he saw the menacing Wang Xian walking over. How dare you play punk in Qin family's banquet? Lad, you're courting your own death. Master Bai San glared coldly at Wang Xian. He is seeking his own death to act arrogantly in the Qin family's dinner function. Lad, even if we don't kill you, Qin family will not let you off either. Director Wu, Director Song, Director Gong, and the rest of the guests spoke in a low voice while looking at Wang Xian. Reckless lad, seeking his own death. The middle-aged man standing beside Lan Qingyue shook his head slowly. All of you are too noisy. I'll destroy you today. Wang Xian raged. His anger was not only targeting at Master Bai San and the other three people. It was also because of the father of Guanshu Qing and the Qin family. Old Qin invited me over, and look what his second son is doing to me. What does he take me, Wang Xian, for? Is this the way the Qin family treats their guest? A ferocious look flashed in Wang Xian's eyes as he stared at Master Bai San. The dragon energy exploded from his body, enveloping Master Bai San and second Master Qin. Both of them had a drastic change in their expression as they sensed the immense oppression of the young man. Lad, if you dare to fight in Qin's place, I'll make sure you die a horrible death, said second Master Qin harshly as he stared at Wang Xian with cold eyes. You're asking for your death if you strike. I'll teach you a lesson so that you'll learn some rules today. The young man before Master Bai San brightened up his eyes when he observed the situation. In a swift movement, he swung his fist at Wang Xian. Gu Qinglong struck. Gu family is an ancient martial artist family that came from other cities. They did not have many members in the family, and their skills were not that formidable, but still, they could not be underestimated. This young lad is simply courting his own death. How dare he strike in the banquet of Qin family? This is as good as slapping them in their faces. He's finished. Just now, Master Bai San and the rest of them did not dare to strike in the midst of the banquet. This lad is just too arrogant. He is seeking a quick way to die. The rest of the guests watched Wang Xian as though they were looking at an idiot. You talk too much. Impassively, Wang Xian looked at the young man who struck at him. He swung out his fist straight at him. How dare an ordinary guy take my fist? Go to hell. Gu Qinglong displayed a disdainful look. He wanted to prove himself. That was the reason why he was so eager to strike today. He wanted to announce the arrival of Gu family in the river town and befriend the Bai family, another ancient martial artist family. In this case, he could quickly build up his foundation. Caw caw caw. His thinking was good. But a bone-cracking sound was heard when the fists collided with each other. Gu Qinglong's arm was broken under the formidable power. Useless thing. Wang Xian did not even display 20% of his power. He jeered at Gu Qinglong, who was screaming in pain on the floor. Ah! Gu Qinglong was crying out in agony as he looked frightened. Ah! The rest of the guests let out a gasp and a cry as they saw Gu Qinglong's deformed arm. Wang Xian looked at Master Bai San, and a cold smile surfaced. No hurry. We don't have to wait until we leave. We can settle this one by one now. As he was talking, he made his move and launched his attack on Master Bai San. You're asking for it. I will kill you today. Master Bai San clenched his fist with veins popping out. Master Bai San was a martial artist with level 5 strength. He was shocked to see that the young man before him was also a martial artist. But he had no fear of him. No wonder you're arrogant. But you're too full of yourself. Go to hell. With a hideous look, Master Bai San moved like a fearsome tiger as 5 of his fingers turned into claws. Sending me to hell? You are not fit to do it yet. Wang Xian looked at Master Bai San scornfully. He lifted his foot and swept it across. Die. Master Bai San stretched his claws at Wang Xian's leg. Caw! Bam! Master Bai San felt like he was scratching on a metal surface the moment they collided. Immediately, a mighty force hit his shoulder. Bam! The mighty force sent Master Bai San crashing to the table next to him at a much faster speed. He then landed on the ground and spat out a mouthful of fresh blood. The moment Master Bai San was knocked down within a split second, second Master Qin was a little terrified when he saw Wang Xian's emotionless look in his eyes. He tried to act tough as he yelled, "Stop it! Otherwise, the Qin family will not let you off. No one dares to provoke us in the river town. You won't let me off? You might want to ask if Qin Guohui dares to say this to me." Wang Xian let out a low growl with an impassive expression. The rest of the people were shocked to hear this. Qin Guohui, old Qin. Chapter 60, A Storm in the Banquet, 5. You. What an arrogant brat. Second Master Qin pointed at Wang Xian and was shivering in anger. At this very moment old Qin and his family, together with the 3 generations of Shui family, were walking towards the entrance of the banquet hall. You won't let me off? You might want to ask if Qin Guohui dares to say this to me. However, just as they arrived at the entrance, all of them heard this angry roar. Old Qin was completely stunned and old Shui immediately frowned. Grandfather, that's brother Wang Xian's voice, Shui Jing commented quickly upon hearing as his expression turned solemn. Old Qin clearly heard Wang Xian's voice too. His expression changed quickly and a worried look hung on his face. Let's quickly get there and take a look. He couldn't understand why Wang Xian would let out such an angry roar. He couldn't understand why the seemingly amiable Wang Xian, who he had an enjoyable lunch with in the afternoon, would be so angry. Disregarding the fact that old Shui believed that he had unparalleled horrifying strength, Wang Xian had just cured his beloved grandson. Their Qin family couldn't make him an enemy. Moreover, even the Qin family wouldn't go offend such a strong expert for no reason. In the modern era, other than the society, there was also an underworld. Although the Qin family was very strong in society, they still wouldn't dare to offend strong experts of the underworld. Old Shui frowned and quickly hurried in. At this moment, the crowd was completely astounded by Wang Xian's words. Everyone was shocked as no one expected him to shout that Qin Guohui wouldn't dare to say this to him in the Qin family's banquet. Step aside. All of you, step aside. At this moment, Shui Jing's growl sounded from behind the crowd. Everyone who was gathered here was shaken as they quickly looked back. Old Qin is here and old Shui is here too. A middle-aged man couldn't contain his shock and exclaimed. The crowd opened up a path of them automatically. This lad is finished. His death is certain. A weak voice sounded from the side. When Lan Qingyue saw old Qin and old Shui, she couldn't help but feel deeply worried. As for Guan Shuqing, she was dumbfounded when she looked over. Following which, joy and relief replaced her initial emotions and were shown on her face. They really are. They really are. She was shaken up. The 2 people who were walking at the front of the group were the 2 old men she'd had lunch with in the afternoon. When she arrived, she was still a little suspicious. However, she didn't dare to think so and assumed that they were these 2 old men. At this moment, all her worries had dissipated entirely. She recalled the attitude of the 2 old men when speaking with Wang Xian in the afternoon. She was more confident that Wang Xian truly had the qualification to say what he had just said previously. You're finished. How dare you start a fight and injure others in a banquet hosted by the Qin family? You're finished. My dad is here. Second Master Qin was exhilarated upon seeing old Qin walking over. Wang Xian's expression didn't change a bit and was still emitting the aura of the divine dragon. He turned his head around and looked towards old Qin's family and the 3 people from Shui family. What a strong disposition. Old Shui could sense the faint aura around Wang Xian and was shocked. He thought that his strength was probably similar to Wang Xian after making the breakthrough. However, he felt that he still wasn't a match for Wang Xian after feeling this disposition. The Qin family and Shui family walked over in a straight line. The surrounding atmosphere had frozen up and no one even dared to take a deep breath. When old Qin heard what his adopted son said, his hand, which was holding onto the walking stick, started trembling. He walked directly towards Second Master Qin without any expressions. Father, he actually dares to, in the banquet organized by us. Arg! When Second Master Qin saw his father walking over, he reported happily. However, before he could even complete his sentence, the walking stick in old Qin's hand had landed ruthlessly on his leg. Crack crack. The walking stick made of solid wood broke directly. One could easily imagine how furious old Qin was. Father, you. Why did you beat me? Second Master Qin's face turned pale as he grabbed onto his leg and spoke in horror. Haze. Old Qin suddenly heaved a sigh. When your father passed away and handed you over for me to take care of, I saw you as my biological son. However, you have repeatedly, I have always turned a blind eye to your actions, but you didn't learn your lessons and committed so many heinous acts under the name of our family. There will be a day when our family might get into serious trouble because of you. Old Qin threw his walking stick onto the floor. Lianhui, transfer Rivertown mining grounds to his name. From this day onwards, he would have nothing to do with our Qin family. No matter if he is dead or alive, it has nothing to do with the Qin family. Our Qin family isn't blessed enough to have him. Old Qin's strong words propagated throughout the banquet hall. No one could have expected this development. Second Master Qin was directly expelled out of Qin family. This. However, what shocked the crowd the most was Old Qin's bowing down slightly as he spoke to the young man. I'm sorry, Brother Wang Xian. I'm sorry. It's because of my loose teachings that you had to suffer. Brother, don't be angry. Hug. Little Kite looked at the solemn-faced Wang Xian and said as he walked in front of him and raised his arms. After witnessing the attitude of Old Qin and the cute little Kite, a smile appeared on Wang Xian's face. He reached out his arm and carried little Kite. Old Qin, it was I who was impulsive. Sorry for causing you troubles. Old Qin heaved a huge sigh of relief upon seeing Wang Xian's expression. He smiled, that's great. As long as Brother Wang Xian doesn't blame it on this old man. Wang Xian smiled and replied, I was impulsive. I hope you wouldn't blame me. Huh. Old Qin laughed out. Old Shui and I were a little late. Sorry about it. Brother Wang Xian, come. Let us take a seat now. I'll definitely give you a good explanation for what happened today. Wang Xian smiled. Grandfather, I have found out about the incident. Shui Jing returned immediately after going over to a service attendant to find out more. Subsequently, he repeated the whole event softly. It seems like it's still about the incident in the afternoon. By family? A murderous intent flashed past old Shui's face. In that case, I shall use by family to establish our dominance. As for the rest, I'll leave them to Qin family to settle. Yes, father. Shui Jiahua nodded his head and looked to Qin Lianhui. Qin Lianhui nodded his head and headed directly to Director Wu, Director Gong and Director Song. As for Shui Jiahua, he walked over to Master Bai San who had crawled up. Father, no. This can't be. At this moment, Second Master Qin was mumbling to himself in a daze. He couldn't believe that what had happened was the reality. If he left Qin family, who would he be in Rivertown in the future? And at this moment, the crowd in the banquet hall had their attention focused on the young man who was carrying Old Qin's beloved grandson. They were completely lost. They would have never expected things to end up this way. Second Master Qin was expelled from Qin family and that young man could make Old Qin bow down to apologize? They quickly looked towards the future successor of Qin family who was heading towards Director Wu, Director Song and Director Gong. They then looked at Shui Jiahua, the future pillar of Shui family. Eventually, they turned and saw Director Wu, Director Song, Director Gong and Master Bai San. Their faces had turned pale and they seemed to be scared out of their wits. Chapter 61, A Storm in the Banquet, 6. Master Bai San, the arm of your son was broken by my son. Serves your son right for offending the benefactor of Shui family. In the ballroom, Shui Jiahua walked towards Master Bai San and stared coldly at him. Master Bai San was trembling as he looked at the young man between Old Shui and Old Qin. A bitter smile surfaced on his face as he looked embarrassingly at Shui Jiahua. From the exchange just now, he knew that he had provoked the wrong people. The strength that the young man had exploded just now was definitely coming from someone whom the Bai family could not afford to offend. But, you are equally wicked. After Shui Jiahua threw out his cold and harsh remark, he punched out at Master Bai San's shoulder immediately. Upon seeing the attack from Shui Jiahua, Master Bai San wore a different expression. But he did not dare to resist. Old Shui from the Shui family was thought to be a dying person. Yet, he had suddenly recovered and made a breakthrough in his level. This reshuffled the rankings of the ancient martial artist families in Rivertown. The Shui family was already more formidable than the Bai family. Now, they had become people whom they could not afford to provoke. Kaka! A bone-cracking sound was heard from the ballroom. Everyone was horrified to see Master Bai San lying on the floor as he hugged his arm in extreme agony. Your broken arm shall serve you a lesson. If you have any grievances, the Shui family will answer all of them, said Shui Jiahua coldly to Master Bai San. Everyone was shocked to watch the fearsome Shui Jiahua. Director Gong, Director Song, Director Wu. On the other side, Qin Lianhui came to them and looked at those millionaire directors. Director Qin. They quickly addressed him. At this time, cold sweat was breaking on their foreheads with eyes full of horror. Mr. Wang is a guest of the Qin family, Qin Lianhui said emotionlessly. We were also there in the afternoon when it happened. We were planning to give you a warning tonight. Qin Lianhui was speaking impassively as though he was talking about a trivial matter. Yet, the directors could not help but to shake in their boots as they knew that it was the end of the story for them. Director Qin, we were wrong. I really didn't know. If I had known, I would have killed that unfilial son of mine. Director Wu almost went jelly as he bowed with his shaken body. Leave Rivertown now and don't let me see you again. Qin Lianhui gestured, annoyed, at them. Their faces turned black when they heard what Qin Lianhui said. Yet, they were in such despair that they had nothing to say. Asking them to leave Rivertown was equivalent to asking them to give up their foundation over here. But they were powerless to put up any resistance because this was the decision made by the Qin family. It was all my son's fault for offending someone that he shouldn't. The three directors clenched their fists and walked out like zombies. There was no place in the entire Rivertown for them. Master Bai San also left with his face full of despair. Anything that took place in the society would have to be resolved within the society. So were the underworld matters. Even though Bai family was not asked to leave their base in Rivertown, the Shui family would forever be pressing on them. Bai family would not be able to obtain some resources in the future. Throw him out. As Shui Jing spoke to one of the hotel staff, he stepped on both legs of Gu Qinglong at the side with force. The surrounding crowd could not help but shiver when they saw the happenings unfolding. They were glad that they did not intervene or jeer at that young man. But those who spoke ill of that young man were standing there with their hearts in their mouths. Second Master Qin, the adopted son of old Qin, had been expelled from the Qin family. Master Bai San of the Bai family had gotten his arm broken by Shui Jiahua. Gong, Song, and Wu family would no longer have their foothold in Rivertown. Gu Qinglong of the Gu family who had helped Master Bai San would only have a tough life in Rivertown. All these were results of offending the young man. They stared blankly at the young man who was talking jovially with old Shui and old Qin. No wonder he did not regard the Gong, Wu, So, and Bai families highly. No wonder he dared to come to this banquet in casual dressing. He did not have to care, and he had no need to care about any of them. This symbolized power. Aren't old Shui and old Qin in casual wear too? At this moment, Guan Shicheng, who was in the middle of the crowd, was in a daze. He was looking in disbelief at the young man who was sharing a jovial conversation with old Shui and old Qin. The thought of the young man addressing him as uncle with smiles on his face. The thought of him treating the young man coldly, scornfully and even. He regretted it very much. If I could reverse everything, I would surely hold on to him. Definitely. Why did this happen? Guan Shicheng felt restless. It was such a good opportunity for the rising of Guan family again. At this time, he saw Director Qin walking towards him. He was slightly uptight and fearful. Miss Guan, Miss Lan. Guan Shicheng noticed that Director Qin was walking towards his daughter. Uncle Qin. Lan Qingyue answered politely. Director Qin. Guan Shuqing nodded to Qin Lianhui. They had been having lunch in the afternoon just now. I'm sorry, Miss Guan, to have let you suffer some injustice. Director Qin apologized to Guan Shuqing. No, no, Guan Shuqing quickly shook her head. With Xiao Xian around, I didn't suffer much. Right, there is Wang Xian around. Qin Lianhui laughed. He turned to Guan Shicheng and smiled, Director Guan, we will discuss your matter later. Director Qin. Guan Shicheng was stunned. Upon seeing the other party's smiling face, he suddenly got excited. He looked towards his daughter and thought of some possibilities. Piak! Piak! Guan Shicheng walked to his daughter and slapped himself on his face, girl, it's all my fault. It's all my fault. Don't blame me. When Guan Shuqing saw her father walking towards her, she was feeling complicated. She sighed softly. After all, this was her father. Dad, I don't blame you at all. Guan Shuqing shook her head. I'm glad that you don't blame me. I'm glad to hear that, Guan Shicheng nodded with a smile. He hesitated before he asked, girl, what's the relationship between you and that young man? When Guan Shicheng posed that question to Guan Shuqing, Lan Qingyue was also anxious to hear the answer. Friends, we're just friends. Guan Shuqing replied, knowing what her father was thinking. Just friends? Guan Shicheng was a little disappointed. He was hoping that the young man could be the boyfriend of his daughter, and his son-in-law. If that were the case, who would dare to offend him, Guan Shicheng, and the entire Guan family in the future? Chapter 62, A Storm in the Banquet, End. I'd like to go over and say hi to two friends of mine. Old Qin and Old Shui, please have a chat now. The banquet continued as per normal. Although the atmosphere had changed a little, the impacts weren't that great. After informing Old Qin and Old Shui, Wang Xian turned his attention to the banquet hall and headed towards where Guan Shuqing and Lan Qingyue were. Feeling the intentional and unintentional gazes from the crowd, the edge of Wang Xian's mouth started to arch up. Chairman Lan, thank you. Wang Xian saw Guan Shuqing was talking to her parents and thus went over to Lan Qingyue to express his gratitude first. Just a while ago, Lan Qingyue had to endure the huge pressure from the crowd to put in good words for him. Lending a helping hand when one was in need was tough, while sucking up to one when he was basking in the light of success was easy. She belonged to the former. He was a little surprised that Lan Qingyue had chosen to help him but was also grateful to her. Lan Qingyue, who was in a red evening gown, looked extremely alluring under the warm lights of the banquet hall. While wearing high heels, she was approximately the same height as Wang Xian. Her beauty couldn't be appropriately described with words. You're welcome. Lan Qingyue looked at him with fervent eyes. As compared to their previous encounter, she felt that the strange quality of Wang Xian had gotten stronger by a little. It's too heartbreaking that you have rejected my invitation for a meal twice to thank you for the previous incident. Lan Qingyue looked at him and recalled his rejections. She couldn't help but comment unhappily. Hee hee. Wang Xian laughed awkwardly. I've really been a little busy in the last 2 days. However, if you would like to have a meal together, you can come to my restaurant. I'm staying there for almost the entire time each day. I could also give you a treat. Your restaurant? Great. Upon hearing his reply, Lan Qingyue revealed a faint smile and nodded her head. In that case, we have a deal. Yeah. Wang Xian smiled and nodded his head. Just beside them, Guan Shicheng felt his head aching when he saw Lan Qingyue and Wang Xian chatting. He naturally knew who Lan Qingyue was, as she was the future successor to the Lan family. Her family wealth was among the top 3 in Rivertown currently. Moreover, there was nothing one could pick on about Lan Qingyue's looks. Within the entire Rivertown, she was at the highest level. Seeing how she had tried to protect Wang Xian a while ago, he was able to tell something from it. When it came to looks, he was confident that his daughter wasn't inferior to Lan Qingyue. However, when it came to family background, the difference was stark. It was especially so after what he said previously. At the thought of this, he started to regret further. He wasn't just feeling regretful but also feeling a sense of danger. If his son-in-law was snatched away, it would be pointless for him to cry over it then. Guan Shicheng's expression was changing constantly. He was thinking of ways to get on the good books of Wang Xian and also to make up for what he'd done previously. Guan Shuqing saw Wang Xian and Lan Qingyue chatting joyously and was feeling a little uncomfortable about it. After finishing his chat with Lan Qingyue, Wang Xian turned his head and smiled at Guan Shuqing. He walked over and asked, "Shuqing, are you all right?" "I'm fine." Guan Shuqing nodded her head. She looked at him and said, "Thank you, Xiao Xian." "You don't have to." Wang Xian smiled and shook his head. "Son-in-law, I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry. I was wrong in the incident previously. It's all my fault. Please forgive me." At this moment, Guan Shicheng came over shamelessly and spoke with a sincere face. He was even calling Wang Xian his son-in-law. Wang Xian was taken aback and so was Guan Shuqing. He had not expected Guan Shuqing's father to be so shameless. "Father, what are you calling him?" Guan Shuqing's face had turned red while speaking to her father. He. Guan Shicheng continued smiling and said to Wang Xian once again, "I was foolish and timid previously. Please don't take it to heart." Wang Xian was speechless while looking at Guan Shicheng. The current him was completely different as compared to when he first saw Wang Xian. What an opportunistic person. Wang Xian wasn't too calculative with him, as he was Guan Shuqing's father after all. However, he wasn't being too close and friendly with him either. He shook his head, smiled, and replied, "It's all right. As long as you are fine with it. Have a chat with Shuqing first while I get some food together with her mother. Come over to our house for dinner when you're free. I'll get my wife to make you some delicious food." Guan Shicheng could feel that Wang Xian was keeping a distance from him. However, he was rather thick-skinned and spoke solicitously. Wang Xian nodded his head. "Sure, uncle." "Great." Guan Shicheng heaved a huge sigh of relief. He turned around and walked towards a woman by the side. "Xiao Xian, my father is a little. I hope you don't mind," Guan Shuqing said as she looked at her father. "It's fine." Wang Xian smiled and shook his head. After which, he turned to Guan Shuqing and said, "This is Lan Qingyue. Shuqing, I believe you know her too." "Hello." Lan Qingyue looked at Guan Shuqing, smiled, extended her hand and greeted. "Hello." Guan Shuqing also looked at Lan Qingyue and extended her hand. A special force field was formed between the two of them. When the young men in the banquet hall looked over and saw these two gorgeous ladies, they couldn't help but feel slightly shocked. At the same time, they were envious of the teenagers standing beside them. "You girls are really charming." Feeling the surrounding gazes, Wang Xian smiled and complimented them. "Junior Shuqing is really beautiful and has attracted everyone's attention." Lan Qingyue smiled and commented. "It's senior's charisma that is stronger. I'm still a long way behind." Guan Shuqing replied immediately. The atmosphere was slightly strange. "Huh, both of you are beautiful." The insensitive Wang Xian didn't notice and simply complimented the two girls. This caused the two girls to break into laughter while looking at each other. "Wang Xian, I have to go greet some people with my uncle. Don't forget that you will be treating me to a meal," Lan Qingyue smiled and said to Wang Xian. "All right, go do what you have to." Wang Xian nodded his head. Subsequently, Wang Xian chatted with Guan Shuqing for a while before heading towards where Old Qin and Old Shui were at. Old Qin introduced him to some people in Rivertown. There were businessmen and also officials working in the government. For a guy that could make Old Qin bow down to apologize, they naturally wouldn't dare to be lax and entertaining as they were full of smiles while conversing with Wang Xian. Through this banquet, Wang Xian obtained a lot of name cards. When he walked out of the banquet hall, it was already 11 o'clock at night. After bidding goodbye to Old Qin, Old Shui, Lan Qingyue, Guan Shuqing and her parents, Wang Xian rode his heavy-duty motorcycle towards school. As the cold wind blew on him, Wang Xian was feeling very comfortable. After today, he could be considered as having a strong foothold in Rivertown. What would come next was to strengthen himself. The moon was bright and Wang Xian was heading back to school on his heavy-duty motorcycle. The trees along the pathways were moving past him rapidly. There were barely any other people or cars left on the roads. Just as Wang Xian was coming to a curve, a black shadow crashed towards him. Screech! Wang Xian was slightly shocked and immediately slammed on his brakes. Sharp grinding noises propagated as the motorcycle's wheels scratched against the road. Chapter 63, The Five Elements Stone Plate. Bam! An old man who was soaked in blood fell on the road in front of him. Cough! The old man looked up. With a pale-looking face, he looked towards the trees and bushes at the roadside with a despairing expression. Mo Qinglong, you can't run away. Hand over the thing now, and I'll let you have a peaceful death. Soon after, an angry bellow was heard. Wang Xian saw 8 men rushing towards his side. They were like the martial arts experts on the television who leaped onto the tree branch and landed on the road in front of him. The 8 of them were dressed uniformly in black costumes. The swords in their hands were flickering with cold radiance under the moonlight. A middle-aged man in the center stepped forward and glared coldly at the elder on the ground. Green Lotus Ancient Sect, the so-called decent sect, stooped to using despicable and shameless resorts just to steal the treasure from the ancient fiend clan. The old man stood up slowly with hideous expressions on his face. The ancient fiend clan has always been up to no good. We are going to uproot your clan and finish off all the assassins that the clan has cultivated. We're doing this for the good of the people. Mo Qinglong, don't ever think of escaping today. Hand over the 5 elements stone plate now. The middle-aged man in the center was glaring at the old man with immense killing intent. He stared at the chest area of the old man with greed in his eyes. Unless you kill me, you bunch of hypocrites will never ever get it. The old man was covered in blood with numerous cuts on his body. His clothes were getting soaked in his fresh blood. Then we'll kill you. The middle-aged man in the center had an impassive look. He looked towards both sides and commanded, kill him. We must get the 5 elements stone plate. Kill. The rest of the 7 members nodded and launched swift attacks at the old man. One of them suddenly looked up and fixed his gaze on the spot where Wang Xian was. Count yourself unlucky today. As he spoke, he flung his arm and hurled a dagger at Wang Xian. Without looking at him, the man turned to attack the old man. In his opinion, Wang Xian could be considered a dead man. It was an unexpected misfortune to any commoners. Wang Xian was about to take his leave when he saw what happened. But his eyes could not help but narrow when he saw the dagger flying towards him. How tyrannical of them. I'm just a passerby. Wang Xian squinted his eyes as he looked at the incoming dagger. He stretched his arm out. Piak! The dagger was easily grasped by Wang Xian. Back in the fight, the old man was besieged by 8 people, and soon, he took another 2 slashes on his body. The old man's strength should be around level 8, and only the middle-aged leader is on par with him. The remaining martial artists are all at level 7. Radiance flickered in Wang Xian's eyes. He got down from his Harley motorcycle slowly and gazed at the 8 people with a cold look. If it were not for you who wanting to kill me, I would have never interfered in this. But now, it's a good chance for me to test my skill. Wang Xian curled his fingers into a fist. He was wearing his helmet, but he was not afraid that someone would recognize him. Caw caw caw. The dagger in his hand was crunched into a ball and discarded on the floor. I'm just a passerby, yet, you guys wanted to silence me. Fine. If that's the case, let's have some fun. Wang Xian moved as he talked. He sprang into action and attacked the closest middle-aged man. Courting your own death. Qingwen and Qinglai, kill him. The middle-aged leader was looking cold as he commanded loudly after Wang Xian dodged the dagger and attacked them. Lad, never did I expect that you're a martial artist too. However, you are bound to die today. The two middle-aged men, Qingwen and Qinglai, took themselves out from the joint attack of the old man and looked towards Wang Xian. Immediately, they made a counterattack. Heh. There was only coldness in Wang Xian's eyes. Even though he had a good temper, his killing intent was triggered when he met a bunch of people who wanted to kill him without any reason. The two middle-aged men wielded their sharp and long swords at his chest and throat. Have a taste of my physical power. The dragon energy in Wang Xian's body surged. He stretched out both his hands and grabbed the two sharp swords. Die! The two men looked at him disdainfully as they spun the long swords in their hands. Go to hell! Piak piak! However, what shocked them was both swords were caught, and their attacks were stopped. Caw caw caw! Oh no! Their eyes were filled with disbelief as they noticed the long swords in their hands were giving way. Die! Wang Xian hurled himself forward and attacked one of the middle-aged men. He had not learned any martial arts before and had little experience in real-life combat. However, the power and speed of the divine dragon were insurmountable. He held his fist tightly. With his mighty strength, he swung his fist at the middle-aged man who was looking shocked and horrified. He wielded his sword across his chest for defense. Caw! The sword broke when the sound was heard. The domineering force struck onto the chest of the middle-aged man. Bam! The middle-aged man felt as though his chest had exploded. His eyes were protruding out as he stared at Wang Xian with disbelief. Damn, we met an expert. The other man who witnessed the instant death of Qinglai was horrified. Hence, he quickly called out. Didn't you guys say you were going to kill me? Wang Xian lifted his head and stared ferociously at that middle-aged man. Like a raging beast, he struck an attack with brutal force. Green Lotus Sword Dance. That middle-aged man was horrified to see Wang Xian charging at him like a raging beast. He wielded the long sword in his hand, and an image of a green lotus appeared before him. The green lotus was carrying a bone-chilling cold radiance with it. Fancy but impractical. Despite seeing the green lotus sword formation, Wang Xian did not have the slightest hesitation. He continued punching his fist out. Caw caw caw. When the sleeves on Wang Xian's arm were torn, it sounded like shattering glasses. Blood traces could be seen on his arm, but they recovered almost instantly because of the mighty divine dragon's body. No, when the middle-aged man let out a devastating scream, Wang Xian's fist already landed on his chest. Immediately, his chest sank in, and he collapsed on the floor. Damn, Qingwen and Qinglai got killed. The devastating screams from Qingwen and Qinglai drew shocking exclamations of those middle-aged men who were attacking the old man as they watched in disbelief. Initially, they thought they killed an ordinary passerby just to conceal the secret. But no one expected that he was a formidable martial artist who killed two level 7 martial artists instantly. Level 7 martial artists were experts who could establish an ancient martial artist family in this world. I was only passing through this place, and yet, you guys wanted to kill me. Then don't blame me for it. Let's see who will win today. Wang Xian stared at the remaining 6 people. All he wanted was to fight. He wanted to find out how strong he was now. Chapter 64, Dragonians. Great. When the old man under siege saw that Wang Xian had slayed 2 members of the Green Lotus ancient sect, his eyes lit up and he got excited. He looked to the middle-aged leader and started laughing. Shame on the Green Lotus ancient sect to claim to be an orthodox sect but ambush an ordinary person in order to silence him. Yet, you would have never expected him to be so strong. Brother, thank you for lending me a helping hand. If you can help me eliminate this group of sanctimonious people, I will give you what they are trying to snatch away from me. The expressions on the 6 middle-aged men's faces, who were cornering the old man, changed drastically. They had never expected themselves to encounter this situation. They had been used to being arrogant and thinking nothing of killing an ordinary man. However, they had never expected Wang Xian to be so terrifying. The middle-aged leader held the knife firmly in his hand and stared at Wang Xian with bloodthirst. This is between the Green Lotus Ancient Sect and Ancient Fiend Clan. I hope that this brother wouldn't interfere and we would reward you handsomely after everything. Kill! Wang Xian wasn't shaken at all by the words of the middle-aged leader. He had zero affection for the 6 people in front of him and charged directly towards the one who was closest to him. Kill! Even if I, Mo Qinglong, was to lose my life, I want all of you to die with me. When Mo Qinglong saw Wang Xian make his move, his eyes lit up. The black aura around him started surging violently. Disregarding his injuries, he charged and attacked towards the surrounding 6 people. Shit! When the middle-aged leader saw them attacking, his face turned gloomy. You guys try to pin down Mo Qinglong while I go and take care of that brat. Yes, sect leader. The other 5 people gripped their swords tightly and set up a sword formation towards Mo Qinglong. Do you think the 5 of you are enough to trap me? Even when I'm severely injured, you guys still aren't a match for me. The dark hair of Mo Qinglong was flying freely and the dark aura around his body was surging towards the surroundings. At the other end, Wang Xian revealed a heavy look upon seeing the middle-aged man attacking towards him. He realized that the speed of the middle-aged man was slightly quicker than him. Martial Artist Level 8. I wonder if my body could withstand an attack from a Level 8 martial artist? Wang Xian had a gloomy look. With his current strength, he could go against and kill Level 7 martial artists. As for Level 8 martial artists, he wasn't certain. Nonetheless, he wasn't fearful. Die, you damn brat! The middle-aged man moved the sword in his hand and a cold glow pierced toward Wang Xian. So fast! Wang Xian was a little shocked when he saw the sword of the middle-aged man. Adjusting his body posture, he dodged to the side. Can you dodge this? The middle-aged man looked at Wang Xian with disdain and swung his arm across. SSS. The sword cut along Wang Xian's arm and left a 3 inches long wound on it. However, the wound wasn't deep, but looked severe. Indeed. A level 8 martial artist could injure me. Seeing the wound on his arm regenerating gradually, Wang Xian looked towards the middle-aged leader with alertness. You don't know anything about martial arts techniques and you dared to mess with us. The middle-aged leader knew Wang Xian didn't know any martial arts technique with just a look. He looked at him with disdain and said, "You can die now." As he finished his sentence, the sword in his hands moved in a mesmerizing manner. In the end, countless sword shadows intersected together to form a sharp sword that slashed towards Wang Xian. Poof! Wang Xian took a deep breath as he saw the sharp sword slashing towards him. If he was hit, he would definitely be severely injured. However, he felt no fear at all. Let's see how powerful the Dragon Ball is. He opened his mouth slightly and a quail egg-sized Dragon Ball flew out of his mouth. It was burning in crimson-red flame and flew towards the middle-aged man at a horrifying speed. What is this? The middle-aged man was shocked when he saw a fireball-like object flying towards him. He immediately swung his sword and slashed directly at it. With a change in thought, the Dragon Ball made a creepy curve and avoided the sword. Instead, it landed on the arm of the middle-aged leader. Arg! A horrifying shriek pierced through the night. To the horror of the middle-aged man, the little fireball-like object had landed on his hand and was quickly disintegrating his body. In just a split second, a hole appeared on his arm. Terror overwhelmed him when he noticed that his chest area seemed to have been cooked. It was cooked under the intense heat. The middle-aged man's eyes were wide open and were filled with disbelief. He stared towards Wang Xian and his eyes were filled with despair. If you try to kill others, be ready to be killed. Wang Xian spoke slowly to the middle-aged leader. With just a thought, the Dragon Ball went through the body of the middle-aged leader. In that instant, the body of the middle-aged man was turned into dust. Nope. Under the high temperature, not even ashes were left behind. Controlling it with his mind, the Dragon Ball flew towards the other 2 corpses. When it went through them, nothing was left. Shit! Sect leader is killed. At this moment, a horrifying shriek propagated from the side. They had never expected their sect leader to be killed. Their gazes swept by Wang Xian and their bodies were trembling in fear. Why the hell did we mess with this expert? Ha, all of you shall die too. Mo Qinglong saw them being distracted. Instantly, the black gas around him surged more violently and swept towards the five of them. Shit! Arg! No! Several horrified screams filled the air. The five middle-aged men were defending hopelessly. However, they were all slain by the old man. Cough cough cough. Mo Qinglong spat out blood after slaying the five middle-aged men. He was barely holding up as his body was emitting its last stretch of vitality. He was on the verge of death. The escape and desperate counterattack a while ago had exhausted all of his life force. Thank you, brother. With all his might, he tried to maintain his posture, and revealed a pitiful smile at Wang Xian. Wang Xian looked at the old man and started to frown. Cough cough. Mo Qinglong coughed violently and spat out blood once again. He grabbed something from his waist slowly and said, "This is what those orthodox sects tried to snatch from us. Since they didn't get it, I shall give it to you, brother." As he finished his sentence, Mo Qinglong fell to the ground directly, as though he had expended all his strength. Wang Xian looked at the old man quietly. Suddenly, he had an idea, walked to the side of Mo Qinglong and carried him up. As the Dragon Ball swept through the battling scene, the surrounding corpses vanished into the thin air. Looking at the baggage in the old man's hand, Wang Xian carried the old man and sat onto his heavy-duty motorcycle. After which, he rode towards the seaside. At the seaside, Wang Xian carried the old man and jumped into the water directly. He didn't transform into a divine dragon and simply swam towards the sea. In less than 20 minutes, Wang Xian arrived at the deserted island where Clam Girl was at. Wang Xian threw the old man on the ground. Looking at him on the verge of death, Wang Xian revealed a faint smile. As a divine dragon, not only do I need to have marine subordinates for my dragon palace, but I also need to have my own force in the mortal realm. Regardless of whether it is in the seas or on land, I want my name to send fear throughout. Wang Xian stared fervently at the old man. He was thinking of building a force in the mortal realm. This old man shall be the first human general, Dragonian. Chapter 65, Evolution, 5 Elements Divine Dragon, 1. Dragonians were also known as the Dragon Servants. Dragonians represented the power of the divine dragon in the human world. The purity in Dragonians' bloodline would determine the limitation of their strength and capability. It was rare for divine dragons to develop into Dragonians except for those dragons with low purity bloodlines or the offspring of divine dragons and humans. Dragonians were powerful. Those that attained great achievements in their cultivation could even transform from humans into dragons. Of course, it was an arduous thing to do so. The development of Dragonians and marine animals was somewhat similar. The only difference was the speed of their cultivations. Not only did the Dragonians cultivate slower than the marine animals, but they also had to cultivate according to their own physique conditions. That is, they had to work step by cultivating their 8 extraordinary meridians first. However, this was not required from the divine dragons. Divine dragons just needed to absorb dragon energy to evolve and strengthen their physical bodies. That is to say, the human cultivation technique was invalid for Wang Xian. Gazing at the old man who was at the verge of his death, Wang Xian stretched out his hand. The golden drop of blood which appeared in his palm dripped on his glabella. Suddenly, the head of the old man jerked. "If you wish to live, absorb it and don't resist it," Wang Xian said to the old man upon seeing his resistance. The old man calmed down, and the blood of the divine dragon entered his brain. An agreement was formed, and the old man had to serve Wang Xian as his master from now on. "Let's heal him first." On seeing the completion of the contract, Wang Xian smiled and placed his palm against the chest of the old man. Streams of immense dragon energy entered his body. The old man was obviously stretching himself way too far as all his internal organs were barely functioning. Hence, his body quickly absorbed the nourishment of dragon energy. At the same time, the golden dragon blood flowed through his entire body, making him in possession of the bloodline of divine dragon. Both the dragon blood and dragon energy caused the old man to develop tiny dragon scales on his body, which made him look formidable. After becoming a Dragonian, his defense ability and vitality would increase by 2 to 3 folds. A strong Dragonian could upgrade his arms into dragon claws, and bring out his own dragon tail for combat purposes. Wang Xian thought to himself. As he felt the internal energy circulating in the old man's body, he suddenly had an idea. For humans to make a breakthrough in their 8 extraordinary meridians, they had to work step by step before they could advance. What if Wang Xian uses his own dragon energy to help him with it? Would that speed up the cultivation? Without the slightest hindrance? Wang Xian pondered. He hesitated, but he tried to direct his dragon energy to the old man's 8 extraordinary meridians. Currently, only his conception vessel and governing vessel were blocked. Once they were unblocked, he would become the inborn expert. An inborn expert was good enough to lead a force. Wang Xian sensed where his 2 vessels were and tried to unblock with streams of dragon energy. Bobo. A subtle sound came from the old man's body while his internal energy was circulating frantically within him. It works! Sharp radiance flashed in his eyes. After depleting over 100 points of dragon energy, he really unblocked his conception vessel and governing vessel. If I could unblock someone's meridian, that means I can build a powerful army in the shortest possible time. Wang Xian was excited. Just then, the old man who was lying on the floor suddenly sat up. His expression changed drastically, and his eyes were wide open when he learned something new. He raised his head slowly and looked at Wang Xian, who was beside him as his body trembled. Dragon King. He bowed, "Thank you, Dragon King, for bestowing a new life to me. I'll lay down my life and fight for you." Mo Qinglong was shocked, excited, and full of disbelief. According to the information in his mind, he had become an immortal Dragonian. All this was given to him by the legendary Dragon King before him. "You may rise." Wang Xian was pleased with the respectful Mo Qinglong. "Yes, Dragon King." Mo Qinglong stood up and stayed by the side respectfully. "You're my first Dragonian subordinate. In the future, you'll also become the leader of the powerful Dragonian army. Now, you'll need to find a batch of loyal subjects so that I can upgrade them to Dragonians," said Wang Xian to Mo Qinglong. "Yes, Dragon King. Leave this to me." Mo Qinglong hastily answered, "I was the elder of the ancient fiend clan. Our clan was in hot water after we obtained the treasure, 5 elements stone plate, by chance. All the disciples of the ancient fiend clan were killed except for a bunch of assassins who hid themselves during their training and escaped the calamity. But they aren't any powerful assassins. Just ordinary people." "Oh, really?" Sharp radiance flashed across his eyes. "It doesn't matter even if they are weak. Just gather all of them first." "Yes, Dragon King." Mo Qinglong nodded his head obediently. "Is this the 5 elements stone plate that you mentioned? What's the use of it?" Wang Xian picked up the bundle on the floor and opened it. "Yes." Mo Qinglong nodded his head as he stared at the bundle with fiery eyes. The 5 elements stone plate is a very magical treasure. So far, we have not fully grasped its functions. We only know that cultivation speed can increase by 5-fold with this around. It can also heal injuries, which makes it powerful. "Oh, really?" Wang Xian opened up the bundle, revealing the 5 elements stone plate. "This." Suddenly, Wang Xian's eyes were wide open as he looked at the stone plate in front of him. The stone was glimmering in 5 different pure colors, namely the gold, green, white, red, and yellow. The 5 elements source stone marked the source of 5 elements. Wood fuels fire. Fire creates earth. Earth bears metal. Metal collects water. Water nourishes wood. Extractable dragon energy, energy is too high to be extracted. The 5-element source stone. It's the 5-element source stone. Wang Xian's body shook with excitement. The so-called source stone was the origin source which represented a form of limitation. For example, if Wang Xian practiced fire attributes, his body would transform into the origin of Inferno when he mastered the 9th transformation of 9 divine dragon transformations. He could easily control all the fire in the world with his mind. And the origin of Inferno was represented by the red portion on this 5-element source stone. Same goes for the water and metal attributes. According to the art of cultivation of divine dragon transformation, the divine dragon must choose an attribute when it masters the first transformation. Subsequently, it must cultivate according to its attribute. But there was a legendary attribute known as the 5 elements attribute. It was the most powerful attribute of all, as 5 elements reinforce and counteract each other. Relying solely on the cultivation arts to cultivate 5 elements attribute was not enough. It would require a treasury auxiliary, and that is the power of the origin source of attribute. At the same time, the auxiliary must possess the integration power from the inborn origin source of 5 elements attribute that almost doesn't exist in this world. Wang Xian stared at the 5 elements source stone passionately. The 5 colors were connected to each other, exuding a magnificent and imposing power. I'll merge this stone with my body and proceed with the 5 elements cultivation. When I master the first transformation, I will become the legendary 5 elements divine dragon. Chapter 66, Evolution, 5 Elements Divine Dragon, 2. The 5 elements source stone couldn't be devoured as Wang Xian wasn't able to absorb the energy within. Carrying the 5 elements source stone, Wang Xian jumped into the water directly. Roar! A dragon roar propagated through the seas. Wang Xian sat on the seabed and scratched the 5 elements source stone with his dragon claws. Evolution, 5 elements divine dragon. Wang Xian shouted softly. The 5-element source stone was emitting 5 different colored lights as it entered Wang Xian's body gradually. In that instant, his body glowed in 5 different colors and his body was no longer just gold in color. Evolution, 5 elements divine dragon. A voice exploded in Wang Xian's mind and his dragon's body started cracking. His body was growing at a rapid pace from 3 meters to 5 meters. Moreover, the color of its body was also undergoing major changes. His head was blue, the color of the water. His pair of claws and dragon horns were golden in color. His body was a dull shade of yellow with a tinge of green. As for his tail, it was red. His entire body reflected the colors of the 5 elements: metal, water, wood, fire, and ground. Wang Xian felt that his dragon claws seemed to have been completely turned into metal and were capable of splitting metal and shattering stones. His head could control the flow of water and his body had a thick defense with strong regeneration capability. As for his tail, it was filled with violent power. There were 5 different types of colors connected to one another, complementing and restricting each element. Roar! Wang Xian couldn't help but let out a dragon's roar which resounded in a radius of several dozens of miles. All the marine animals within this range were all looking towards his direction in horror. Some of them were even trembling in fear while lying flat on the seabed as though they were paying respect to Wang Xian. So strong! I'm so strong now! Wang Xian could feel the destructive strength that filled his body. Looking across, he could see all the living animals in a radius of 1 kilometer and all the marine animals within several kilometers. With just a thought, he could control them. Absolutely horrifying. Name, Wang Xian. Race, 5 elements divine dragon, able to transform into a human. Level, 6. Dragon energy, 564 for 21/100 0000000. Superpower, dominate the marine animals, ability to rule any marine animals that are lower than your own level. Devour any form of living, for extraction of dragon energy. 5 elements control. Art of cultivation, divine dragon transformation. My level increased 3 times to level 6 and I got a new superpower. Wang Xian's eyes lit up as he felt his unprecedented strength. With a body of 5 meters, he was considered rather large in the seas. Moreover, with his current strength, he could easily kill any types of sharks. In fact, he could even kill a school of tiger whales. 5 elements control. With a thought, he opened up his dragon claw and a sharp metal longsword appeared in his hand. When he opened his mouth slightly, a ball of water appeared from within. When he swayed his tail slightly, the scorching temperature that was emitting from the tail could reach the might of the Dragon Ball. I'm so strong now. Even if I encounter an inborn expert, he wouldn't be a match for me. Wang Xian was filled with confidence. From here onwards, he would also be an existence that could rule over an area. Dragon King. At this moment, Clam Girl, who had been around, swam over. She opened her shell and revealed her human form. I'm in a really good mood today. Here is some dragon energy for you. Wang Xian looked at Clam Girl and revealed a smile. With a wave of his golden claws, a stream of dragon energy entered Clam Girl's body. Thank you, Dragon King. The Clam Girl shivered and absorbed the dragon energy rapidly. Her form was getting closer and closer to a human and the shell behind her was emitting a blinding glow. At the same time, her level had increased to level 7. Roving Girl, did you catch any top-quality seafood over the last few days? Wang Xian asked Roving Girl. Dragon King, I found some abalones as you described near this island. Moving her body, she controlled the water flow and pointed to a direction. Oh? Abalone? Wang Xian revealed a shocked expression. Bring me over to take a look. Yes, Dragon King. Roving Girl nodded her head. As she moved her body, she went ahead and led the way. Wang Xian moved his tail slightly. His current speed was horrifying in the seas currently and few marine animals could match his speed. A 5 meters long 5 elements divine dragon was starting to have its majestic look. Under the island was a patch of chaotic rocks. Clam Girl led him towards the opposite direction where Wang Xian came from. In that direction, green seaweeds were all over the surface of the rocks. Dragon King, look! The abalones that you've described. Clam Girl pointed to an abalone in the cracks between a rock. She controlled the flow of water and swept the abalone towards her directly. This is two-headed abalone. When Wang Xian saw the abalones in front of him, his eyes lit up and revealed a shocked expression. An abalone is considered a two-headed abalone when just 2 of them weighs a catty. Two-headed abalone was a very rare and precious animal. A single two-headed abalone would fetch at least $400,000 to $500,000. Even so, one might not even get one with money. This was something that an ordinary rich person could eat. Wang Xian looked to Clam Girl with joy and asked, are there more of these abalone? Yes. Clam Girl nodded her head and swam to the side. Controlling the water flow, she swept an even larger abalone over. This. Wang Xian was speechless when he saw this abalone. It was at least the size of 2 palms, had a heavy and thick shell and dull yellow flesh. One-headed abalone. Oh my gosh, this is a one-headed abalone that is worth several million for one. Wang Xian was exhilarated. He opened up his claws and held it with his own hand. Abalone. This was the highest quality ingredient available. Just this abalone alone would be more than $2 million. Moreover, it would at most be enough for 2 people. $2 million for a meal. Who could have afforded it? Roving Girl, get me all the abalone in the surrounding area, Wang Xian ordered loudly. Roving Girl nodded her head. Moving her body, she started to catch the abalones within the cracks of the rocks. Soon, 20 to 30 abalones appeared within the area she was controlling. Among which, there were several one-headed abalones and two-headed abalones that were similar to those in Wang Xian's hand. There was one one-headed abalone and 4 two-headed abalone. As for the rest, they were either 3-headed abalones or 4-headed abalones. Dragon King, this is a portion of the abalones. In less than 10 minutes, abalones were densely packed around Roving Girl. There were approximately 100 of them. Great, that's enough. Wang Xian was overwhelmed. Among the abalones in front of him, there were approximately 5 one-headed abalones, 15 two-headed abalones, and the rest were 3-headed abalones or 4-headed abalones. If I place these in the restaurants, it would definitely cause a commotion. These are one-headed abalones and two-headed abalones that are close to impossible to find within the country. Wang Xian recalled a piece of news that he had seen. Someone dried a two-headed abalone and preserved it under perfect conditions. After which, he used it as a family heirloom. From this, one could see the value of a two-headed abalone, let alone a one-headed abalone. Lobsters and abalones. If I could get some Chinese bahaba fish and Atlantic bluefin marlin, it would be perfect. At that time, no restaurants would be able to match the top-quality ingredients of first-grade restaurant. Chapter 67, Established Dragon Sect. In the ocean, Wang Xian swayed his enormous body and swam out hundreds of meters away in a single move. He headed towards the spot where the roving lobster was at. Roar! A dragon roar was heard in the area filled with messy reefs. All the marine animals in the region were shuddering. Soon, roving lobster, with a pair of 2 meters claws, swam quickly and lowered himself. My respect to the Dragon King. Wang Xian looked at the level 4 roving lobster and drew his lips. I'm here to enhance your strength for your cultivation. Thank you, Dragon King. The low-intelligence roving lobster said gratefully. Wang Xian swung his arm and instilled a stream of dragon energy into the body of roving lobster. Caw caw caw. The roving lobster gave off frying sound from his body. His body did not grow any bigger, but all his legs, including his claws, grew muscular. His pair of large claws, as sharp as razors, were about 1.5 meters long. His legs were about the same size as the human ones. Slowly, the roving lobster stood up. With a height of 2 meters, 2 out of 8 legs were supporting his body. The rest of them looked extremely strong and durable. The 2 claws located on his head were exuding mightiness. This was the authentic roving lobster general. The roving lobster upgraded to level 6 after Wang Xian transferred 100,000 points of dragon energy. Compared to a martial artist, a level 7 martial artist was no match for a level 6 roving lobster. Guard this land of lobsters. That would be sufficient. Sharp radiance flashed across Wang Xian's eyes. Thank you, Dragon King. The roving lobster knelt again and said with gratefulness. Carry on with your cultivation. After leaving his instruction, he made a move and headed towards the island where Mo Qinglong was residing. When Wang Xian swam out of the water, Mo Qinglong immediately walked over humbly. Dragon King. Okay. Wang Xian nodded and asked, when will your subordinates be arriving? Dragon King, they will be here in no time. Mo Qinglong answered with respect. In no time. Wang Xian looked at Mo Qinglong with astonishment. So fast? Dragon King, they were receiving military training. I called them just now, and they were not far away from the river town. Now, they are on their way. I believe they will be here soon. Mo Qinglong replied. Oh? Wang Xian nodded his head with sharp radiance in his eyes. He looked at the shore where a ship was sailing towards them. Are they here? Mo Qinglong looked over and nodded his head. Yes, it should be them. Where did their ship come from? Asked Wang Xian curiously. Dragon King, as an elite assassin, getting a ship is a piece of cake, Mo Qinglong replied. Great. Wang Xian displayed a satisfied look while he waited quietly for the ship to arrive. Gather here. When the ship docked, Mo Qinglong called out. Master. A surprising voice was heard. Soon after, a middle-aged man, along with a team of young men, ran towards him. Come here. Mo Qinglong said in a low voice. Yes. A group of people crowded around. Wang Xian swept his gaze across the people and noticed 50 fit and muscular young men. They were standing there uniformly without making the slightest sound. A chilling killing aura exuded from them. This bunch of people was not strong because they were from a sub-branch of the ancient Fiend clan, and none of them had learned ancient martial arts. Besides, at their age, their meridians would have stiffened up. It would be extremely difficult to do any cultivation. Only the middle-aged leader was a level 6 martial artist. This is the Dragon King, and he will be your king from now on too. Mo Qinglong told the 50 people. The middle-aged man leading the team revealed a shocking expression as he looked at his master. I'll take you to another world. Wang Xian walked to the center slowly as the dragon power gradually encompassed everyone. Boom! After the encompassing of the dragon power, the entire world seemed to have undergone a drastic change. Infinite oppression was suppressing them. Dragon King. This group of well-trained assassins was horrified. They, including the middle-aged man in the lead, quickly knelt down on the ground. All of you shall not resist. Wang Xian swung his palm, and 50 drops of dragon blood emerged in his hands. He flung his arm and sent the blood to each of their glabellas. Everyone was horrified and dared not resist when they saw the skills he displayed. Next, I'll unblock your 8 extraordinary meridians. During this period, you'll focus on your cultivation. In the shortest possible time, cultivate yourself to the inborn realm and become invincible masters. Wang Xian swung his arm and injected a large amount of dragon energy into their bodies. He closed his eyes and unblocked all the meridians. Unblocking their meridians would not make them inborn experts immediately. They would still require absorbing spiritual energy. However, their absorption speed would increase by 100 times after unblocking their meridians. Roar! After all the meridians were unblocked, they let out a soft dragon roar. All their clothes were torn into pieces by the domineering force. Faint dragon scales were attached to their bodies. Thank you, Dragon King. After everyone absorbed the dragon blood, they clutched their fists tightly with excitement on their faces. They knelt, and their voices echoed through the sky. From now on, you'll be the security of the Dragon Palace, and will be known as the Dragon Sect from the Dragon Palace. The entire Dragon Sect would be led by Mo Qinglong, Wang Xian ordered them. Yes, Dragon King. Mo Qinglong knelt down before him thrillingly. Find a base camp for everyone to cultivate. Wang Xian nodded and said slowly. Dragon King, why don't we make this place the base camp of the Dragon Sect? Mo Qinglong suggested while standing up. Here. Wang Xian observed the surrounding. The entire island had a size of 3,000 meters. The surface area was enough, but the island was too bleak. It would take a lot of money to transform this place into the Dragon Sect. Wang Xian slightly frowned. Dragon King, we have some funds here. Just enough for us to establish our base camp. Mo Qinglong was exhilarated. Besides, my strength will reach the inborn realm soon. Till then, we can apply for this island to be the base camp for the Dragon Sect. Great! Wang Xian's eyes glimmered with sharp radiance. I'll leave the Dragon Sect to you. I hope everyone can become inborn experts in no time. Everyone will become an inborn expert within 100 days. Mo Qinglong guaranteed, since we've got your bloodline, we can even strive for a more powerful level too. From now on, Mo Qinglong from the Dragon Sect, will clear all the obstacles in your way. Everyone will worship the Dragon Sect. We will make Dragon Sect well known in the world and clear all obstacles for the Dragon King. Everyone will worship the Dragon Sect. The rest of the Dragonians at the back roared with passionate eyes. Wang Xian swept his gaze across all the people. He bellowed to the sky, roar. The roar symbolized my arrival, the arrival of the 5 elements divine dragon, Wang Xian. I'll definitely soar to the highest point in the world. Chapter 68, A Dragon or a Worm? Early in the morning, a figure flew out of the seas. That's right, it flew out like a deity. Naturally, the word flew might be exaggerating. Nonetheless, Wang Xian was able to jump over 10 meters in a single leap. Since his level had increased to level 6, his body had integrated the 5 elements source stone and had 5 elemental attributes of metal, wood, water, fire and earth in his body. Wang Xian's strength was 100 times stronger. With a flick of his finger, a spark appeared within his hand. Moving it again, it was a metal dagger this time. Subsequently, there was a fireball, a block of earth and a piece of wood. However, what Wang Xian found the most interesting was that he could grow beautiful flowers on his palm with just a thought. This was the strength of the 5 elements and showed why the 5 elements divine dragon was the most horrifying. Wang Xian retracted his aura with a face of smiles and walked to his heavy-duty motorcycle. He rode it and headed towards first-grade restaurant. When he reached first-grade restaurant, it was already 9:30 a.m. and Guan Shuqing had arrived. "Xiao Xian, have you eaten?" Guan Shuqing looked at Wang Xian with loving eyes and asked sweetly. Despite being upset by her father's actions during the banquet, she felt fortunate to have Wang Xian with her all along. Currently, her family would likely rise again with the Qin family providing assistance. Moreover, her family would grow to be even stronger than before. Her parents were exhilarated and wanted her to grab hold of the opportunity to become Wang Xian's girlfriend. Although this made her speechless, she was secretly happy about it as her parents were no longer against her being together with Wang Xian. "I haven't." "Have you eaten? Wanna head out to grab some food?" Wang Xian smiled and asked. "I have already eaten. You could go by yourself." Guan Shuqing looked at him and smiled. Wang Xian nodded his head and headed out. The traffic on the old street was huge. Even though it was a morning in the summer, there were still quite a number of pedestrians in the surrounding area. Wang Xian looked around before heading towards a breakfast shop. Longxian restaurant will be opening in 5 days. "Sir, please come and take a look." At this moment, a girl walked to him with a flyer and handed it to him. "Longxian restaurant." He took the flyer from the girl's hand inquisitively and took a look. Longxian restaurant will be opening in 5 days. On the day of the opening, everything will be sold at 50% of the original price. Subsequently, it will be 60% on the second day, 70% on the third day, 80% on the fourth day and 90% on the fifth day. Longxian restaurant mainly sells all kinds of seafood and definitely has more variety than first-grade restaurant. We have all kinds of valuable and precious seafood. At that time, we will be selling 2-headed abalone, Atlantic bluefin marlin sashimi, delicious caviar and Australian lobsters. We welcome all guests to visit and taste our exquisite and delicious seafood. We would also be giving out attractive prizes. Wang Xian looked at the advertisement flyer in his hand before lifting his head to look at Longxian restaurant, which was just a short distance away. At this moment, the renovation of Longxian restaurant was complete. Looking at its exterior, it wasn't inferior to first-grade restaurant at all. In fact, it looked a little more luxurious, as it was a newly renovated restaurant after all. Everything at half price on opening day 5 days later. Claiming to have a wider variety of seafood than first-grade restaurant. Wang Xian's eyes flickered and a faint cold smirk appeared on his face. Isn't this our director Wang? What's the matter? Coming to learn more about your competitor? At this moment, a teasing voice sounded from beside him. He turned his head over and saw a young man followed by 3 other guys. The lips of the young man curved into a smile when he saw Wang Xian holding onto the advertisement flyer. Wang Xian looked at the young man and gave a cold smirk. "I don't have to resort to finding more about your restaurant. My first-grade restaurant has never been afraid of anyone." "Haha, great. Director Wang is really confident." The young man looked at Wang Xian and smiled. His expression turned heavy as he continued, "However, I wonder if Director Wang could stay as composed when his restaurant goes bankrupt." "Bankrupt? That's interesting. Let us wait and see who will be the first to declare bankruptcy." Wang Xian smiled and looked at them. "Let's wait and see then. At that time, I'll let you know the strength of our Longxian restaurant." The young man gave a cold smile. If you go bankrupt, I'll buy it from you for cheap. Arrogant. Wang Xian looked at the young man and said in an emotionless tone. Lad, you are still lacking a lot in comparison with my brother. As to what you are capable of, we have already investigated thoroughly. This time, we would hand you a complete defeat. At this moment, the teenager beside the young man lifted his head and spoke to Wang Xian in a condescending manner. My capabilities? It seems like you guys have been investigating me. Wang Xian's face sank. Hee. Know your enemy and you will not be defeated in 100 battles. You are just a lucky brat. After this experience, you will be left with nothing, the young man said coldly. Sure, Wang Xian sneered. In that case, I'd like to see who will be the one who is left with nothing. TSK. The young man sneered and headed out. Brother, this time we will teach this brat a good lesson and let him know the consequences of going against our Longxian restaurant, the teenager said to the young man. In 5 days' time, he will be crying over this. Our Longxian restaurant's branch in this city is coming to this town like a hurricane and will triumph over the local first-grade restaurant regardless of how strong it might be. Furthermore, he is just a worm after all. The young man revealed a confident look. If he wasn't capable, he wouldn't have come to the area to set up his restaurant. In his eyes, the first-grade restaurant was just a worm. Haha, that's right, big brother. In 5 days' time, we will know who's the dragon and who's the worm. The teenager laughed excitedly. Longxian Restaurant. Wang Xian looked at them as they left before looking at Longxian Restaurant once again. He smirked coldly and mumbled, You guys dare to claim to be Longxian Restaurant? Claiming to be a dragon? In 5 days' time. Wang Xian smiled and threw the advertisement into the rubbish bin. Director Wang. When he returned to first-grade restaurant after finishing his breakfast, Manager Huang walked to him, looking flustered. In his hand was an advertisement flyer. What's the matter? Wang Xian saw his flustered look and asked. Director Wang, Longxian Restaurant has just started a strong and massive advertisement campaign by giving out flyers and employing the media at the same time. Their reach is really wide. Manager Huang replied in a hurry and passed the flyer to Wang Xian. This was a flyer that I received from them. I knew about this. Wang Xian smiled and shook his head upon seeing the flyer. Director Wang, you knew about this? Manager Huang was a little shocked but quickly added, Director Wang, we need to get prepared. Longxian Restaurant is a famous restaurant in the nearby city and they have strong capabilities. Moreover, their boss is a distant sea fishing group and has supplies with a range of top-quality ingredients. Please take a look at the menu that they are advertising. Relax. I have thought of how to handle this. As for now, the operations of first-grade restaurant shall remain the same as before. It's just a Longxian restaurant. I'll make them close their shop quickly. Wang Xian said plainly. Director Wang, you are confident? Manager Huang asked again, feeling a little doubtful. Just go and do what you have to do. Wang Xian looked at him and smiled mysteriously. He had not brought over the large lobsters from the chaotic reef areas and the abalones from under the island. This was because the time wasn't right yet. There were 5 more days and this was ample time for him to make some preparations. Chapter 69. First-grade restaurant versus Longxian Restaurant, 1. Days passed by, and soon it was only 10 days left before the school reopened. And 1 day before the Longxian Restaurant opened for business. Director Wang, the things you wanted are ready. When Manager Huang saw the arrival of Wang Xian early in the morning, he was worried sick. He could not help but ask, Director Wang, almost everyone in the river town knows that the Longxian Restaurant will be opening soon. Given the market responses, many people will turn up in their restaurant on the first day. How should we deal with this? It's okay. Make sure the things are ready. Wang Xian did not answer his question directly as he looked at the entrance with a smiling face. These few days, Wang Xian got manager Huang to prepare a few showcase boxes like those that could be seen in the market. However, the showcase boxes that came with frozen storage were much more high-class and exquisite. The 4 showcase boxes were located on both sides of the entrance while a huge aquarium was situated in the center. However, there was no ornamental fish in the aquarium. It's done. Director Wang. Look at all the imported equipment. They neither obstruct the visual nor the passageway, said Manager Huang, frowning. Xu Qing, have you printed out all our promotions? Wang Xian asked with a smile. Yes, they are done. We can start our promotions anytime, said Guan Shuqing with a grin. Great, I'll get the people to move in the stuff in the afternoon. Wang Xian nodded. Xiao Xian, are you confident in winning against the Longxian restaurant? Guan Shuqing asked with some concerns. No problem. Wang Xian nodded. Seeing Wang Xian acting so secretively, both Guan Shuqing and Manager Huang did not ask anything further. All they did was wait quietly. Longxian restaurant in the distance had already hung up huge red lanterns with fabulous decorations at the entrance. Just on advertising and promotions alone, Longxian restaurant had spent millions in 5 days. With such a substantial investment in marketing, the results were visible. Some passers-by even made inquiries in the daytime today. At 3 in the afternoon, an old man, together with 6 young men, walked in. The old man was burly while the rest of the young men exuded fearsome auras. They were carrying things in their hands. Our operating hours start at 5 p.m. All of you are here. Move the things over here. Wang Xian intercepted the receptionist when he saw Imo Qinglong and the Dragonians. Wang! When Imo Qinglong saw Wang Xian, he quickly walked over and addressed him respectfully. Wang Xian requested him to address him in this way. After all, addressing him as Dragon King was way too high profile. And Wang, aka the King, seemed like a shorter nickname. Wang Xian. Bring the things over. Wang Xian stood up and said. Guan Shuqing, Manager Huang, and the rest of the chefs did not rest. They all stood up and checked out curiously. We're ready. Mo Qinglong waved to the rest of the 6 young men behind him. Put it in that showcase box, said Wang Xian to them. Yes, Wang, the rest of the young men nodded. 2 of the young men moved over a huge foam box with ice in it. They opened the box, revealing a fish in it. The body size of the fish was about 3 meters long. It was beefy and sleek, flickering with silvery radiance. Atlantic bluefin marlin. It's the Atlantic bluefin marlin. Gosh! It's an Atlantic bluefin marlin of at least 400 catties. Such a huge and beautiful Atlantic bluefin marlin. This one is worth at least 3 million and above. The group of chefs standing around could not help but exclaim as they quickly surrounded the box in astonishment. This was the best fish in the world, Atlantic bluefin marlin. Yet, another box opposite them was already opened while they exclaimed. It was a yellowish of 1 meter, weighing around 100 catties. Chinese bahaba fish. It's the Chinese bahaba fish. The fish gelatin is just beside the Chinese bahaba fish. That's just huge. Gosh, there's another Chinese bahaba fish. When the Chinese bahaba fish was out, another round of commotion broke out from the surrounding chefs. Chinese bahaba fish. It's the Chinese bahaba fish. Director Wang. Boss, you're awesome. An Atlantic bluefin marlin and a Chinese bahaba fish. Gosh! Manager Huang exclaimed dumbfoundedly. With these 2 top-graded fish, would the first-grade restaurant be afraid of the Longxian restaurant? They did not seem to exist. Guan Shuqing parted her lips slightly in astonishment as she looked at the expensive fish. She had not even had a chance to eat such expensive fish before. What a huge abalone! Gosh, the abalones are huge! Just as everyone was staring at the Atlantic bluefin marlin and the Chinese bahaba fish, the abalones were unloaded one by one. Among which, a few of the palm-sized abalones drew surprising cries from the chef. The chef pointed unbelievably at those abalones that were taken out from the box with eyes agape. This. One-headed abalone. One-headed abalone. Gosh, this is incredible. Too incredible. When Wang Xian saw their reactions, he smiled. Put the ornamental fish into the fish tank. Yes, Wang. A young Dragonian nodded, opened the foam box, and stored the arowanas in it. There was a total of 9 arowanas, and each of them was about 80 centimeters long. Precious chili red arowanas, noble Asian arowana, domineering silver arowana, elegant yellow arowana, and radiant blue arowana. Each of the arowana exuded a faint and imposing aura. They were the top-graded arowanas. Definitely the ultimate top-graded arowanas. Manager Huang stared unbelievably at those arowanas with eyes agape. He was not an expert in arowana, but his ex-boss borrowed several arowanas some time ago. Those arowanas were said to be worth more than $1 million each. But he was sure that those arowanas back then were far inferior to these arowanas here. The 9 arowanas were sweeping its body from left to right in the aquarium. Its domineering mightiness was fascinating. Just these arowanas would cost more than $10 millions of dollars. Manager Huang was a little stupefied. Lastly, hundreds of lobsters were taken out, relieving the group of people who were still stunned. Luckily, the last 100 lobsters were worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, which were incomparable to the rest of the fish. An Atlantic bluefin marlin, Chinese bahaba fish, 2 one-headed abalones, 10 two-headed abalones. Bring out those wild giant yellow croaker which I caught some time ago, and put them in the showcase. Wang Xian looked at a chef impassively. Yes, boss. I'll get it. That chef quickly rushed to the kitchen. Soon, the 10 wild giant yellow croakers were in place. The Chinese bahaba fish and Atlantic bluefin marlin were situated on both sides of the door while the abalones were put beside the Chinese bahaba fish. On the other hand, the wild giant yellow croakers were placed beside the Atlantic bluefin marlin. Finally, the ornamental arowanas that were worth over $10 million were placed at the center position. The shock on Manager Huang and the chef's faces did not subside. Anyone who just walked into the shop would form an illusion that they were in a museum which housed the world's best seafood. This was a fish castle. Chapter 70, First Grade Restaurant vs. Longxian Restaurant, 2. Let's have a toast to eating well, drinking well and having a good time today. From tomorrow onwards, our Longxian Restaurant will start its operations officially and mark a new page of history for Longxian Restaurant in Rivertown. In the future, people will definitely speak of us when discussing restaurants in Rivertown. As for that first-grade restaurant, it will become history soon. That's right, Director Xia. With Director Xia's capabilities and the publicity we have done over the last few days, first-grade restaurant is nothing to us. They will just be a part of history soon. In the evening, the boss of Longxian Restaurant brought all his employees to a luxury hotel for a starting work feast. Longxian Restaurant would be opening the next day. In other words, they were having a celebratory feast today. They were celebrating the upcoming success of Longxian Restaurant and for the name of Longxian Restaurant spreading throughout Rivertown. That's certain. With the ingredients that we have prepared, it will definitely shock the entire Rivertown. I have never seen first-grade restaurant as a threat to us. Director Xia revealed an arrogant and cocky expression. First-grade restaurant hasn't been doing any publicity recently. Could it be that they are so arrogant to believe that their reputation alone is enough to compete with us? That's really naive. A plump middle-aged man that looked like the chef chuckled. First-grade restaurant naturally has to pay for its arrogance. As I have said, I'll make that brat regret. Recalling the arrogant Wang Xian, Director Xia revealed a cold look. Come, let's have a toast to the success of Longxian Restaurant. Director Xia stood up and said to the crowd around him. Cheers. Our Longxian Restaurant will definitely shoot to stardom tomorrow. Shoot to stardom. Just as the people of Longxian Restaurant were having the celebratory feast, what they didn't know was that there was a commotion that broke out in first-grade restaurant. Welcome. A group of 5 people walked into the restaurant in the evening. Wow, you guys have made some changes to the entrance. A middle-aged regular patron noticed there was a new setup the moment he stepped into the restaurant. He looked at it inquisitively while asking the greeter at the side. Yes, sir. The greeter smiled. However, the changes aren't significant. It's just changing the arrangement of some of the things. The middle-aged man looked around and shook his head slightly. This won't do it. Longxian restaurant will be opening right beside tomorrow with a 50% discount on everything. Moreover, they have a wider variety of seafood than first-grade restaurant. I heard that you have a new boss. If this isn't handled well, your business will be snatched away by Longxian restaurant. Sir, we will also be having a 50% discount on all items tomorrow, the greeter replied with a smile. Just having discounts isn't enough. Do you know the range of seafood that they have? Longxian restaurant will be having Atlantic bluefin marlin sashimi, precious sea cucumber and many other types of deep-sea fish. I heard that there will be an unlimited amount of Australian lobsters and king crabs. The middle-aged man shook his head as he spoke. He looked to the group of people with him and continued, let's go try the food of Longxian restaurant tomorrow. Their publicity has been really strong recently. I have also heard about Longxian restaurant. From their publicity, it seems that it is indeed better than first-grade restaurant and has lots of top-quality seafood. Another middle-aged man by the side smiled and commented. When the greeter heard the words of the middle-aged man, she revealed a faint smile. Sir, Longxian restaurant is still a far cry from us. We have a new boss and it's only natural that we have made improvements. Sirs, please take a look inside. Alright, let's go and take a look. The middle-aged man nodded his head initially but smiled and shook his head soon after. But I still feel that as compared to Longxian restaurant, you guys are a little inferior. However, before he could finish his sentence, he saw the nearest display platform to him. There were 10 yellow croaker fish that weighed about 3 to 4 caddies each on the display platform. Looking at the colors and the gloss of their bodies, it was clear that they were wild yellow croaker fish. The middle-aged man was taken aback and commented in shock, wild giant yellow croaker. And there are 10 of them. I would never have expected you guys to be able to get your hands on 10 wild giant yellow croaker fish. Sirs, feel free to take a look. All the top-end seafood on our 4 display platform are for sale. You could choose from them and we would cook for you on the spot, a beautiful female waitress standing by the platform said to them. These 10 wild giant yellow croaker fish are really precious. Who would have thought that first-grade restaurants would be able to get 10 of these? This time, he did not complete his sentence. This was because just a short distance away, he saw a whole Atlantic bluefin marlin. It was a 3 meters long Atlantic bluefin marlin. His eyes stared wide open as he said, "Oh my gosh. What a move by first-grade restaurant. Just this Atlantic bluefin marlin alone would be comparable to Longxian restaurant." The waitress at the side simply smiled and didn't comment. Old Lou, take a look at this. Oh my god. Chinese bahaba fish. It's a whole Chinese bahaba fish. This is still the first time I have seen a Chinese bahaba fish. This fish alone is worth several million. These are fish gelatin. Fish gelatin from the Chinese bahaba fish is the most precious of all fish gelatin. The gelatin alone would fetch several hundreds of thousands. Don't just look at the Chinese bahaba fish. Take a look at these. Oh my gosh. I have never seen abalones that are so large. This is just like a dream. One-headed abalone. And there are 2 of them. There are also 10 two-headed abalones. Since when are one-headed and two-headed abalones so common? Each one of these is worth over $1 million. This is crazy. 2 one-headed abalones and 10 two-headed abalones. These are worth close to $10 million. Furthermore, those are Atlantic bluefin marlin, Chinese bahaba fish and wild giant yellow croaker fish. All these together are worth close to $20 million. First-grade restaurant is too awesome. This is just like a dreamland. Wow! Mr. Lu, welcome. At this moment, Manager Huang saw them the moment he stepped out of the office. He smiled and immediately walked over. Manager Huang, these Atlantic bluefin marlin, Chinese bahaba and abalones are for sale, the dumbfounded middle-aged man asked Manager Huang. Of course. If Mr. Lu would like to have some, feel free to choose from them. Our chefs would cook for you immediately. These are definitely the most premium food in the world. Manager Huang smiled and replied. Moreover, we will be having a grand sale tomorrow. Everything will be sold at 50% of the original price. This would naturally include what you have seen here. In other words, if one would like to have a one-headed abalone, he would just need $1, 2 million and could save half of the original cost. The 5 middle-aged men were dumbfounded. What the hell? An abalone still costs $1. 2 million after a 50% discount. Gulp. As the middle-aged man looked at the top-quality seafood around him, he couldn't help but swallow his saliva. Manager Huang, you guys are really having a showdown with Longxian Restaurant. A showdown? Manager Huang smiled and said with indifference, Mr. Lu, what do you think of our first-grade restaurant relative to Longxian Restaurant? Manager Huang, your new boss is truly awesome to be able to get these world-class top-quality ingredients. The middle-aged man smiled and continued, this isn't even a contest with Longxian Restaurant anymore. You guys are simply holding them down and rubbing their faces against the floor. Too awesome. Rub rub. Chapter 71, First Grade Restaurant vs. Longxian Restaurant, 3. Apart from Mr. Lu and his clique that night, close to hundreds of people who turned up for dinner at First Grade Restaurant saw the luxurious lineup of the seafood. Every customer who walked in was dumbfounded by the world's best seafood. What's more, these seafoods could only be found on the news. They thought the recent improvements from Longxian Restaurant were already impressive. But now, they simply paled in comparison. That night, Wang Xian instructed that all the promotion events of the First Grade Restaurant be sent to the customers on their contact list via their phones. No other message was sent except for the 50% off. Yet, those images were shared on the social media feed among people within Rivertown that night. Crazy. Do you know what the best seafood in the world is? Australia lobster, king crab? Those are crappy. Let me tell you what the best seafood in the world is. Below the caption were some pictures with one-headed abalone, Atlantic bluefin marlin, Chinese bahaba fish. Splendid. This is the most awesome restaurant I have ever seen. The First Grade Restaurant is going the hell out of the way. All one-headed abalone, Atlantic bluefin marlin, Chinese bahaba fish are now 50% off. The photos and the information were shared on the WeChat feeds, which subsequently gave rise to some online jokes. I'll marry any nouveau riches who treat me to a meal at First Grade Restaurant. Bro, follow me to a feast at First Grade Restaurant. I'll bring you, and you'll bring the money. How much does it cost to go all out eating at the First Grade Restaurant? The price of your house. I'm sitting in the private room of First Grade Restaurant while having abalone, sashimi and Chinese bahaba fish. I envy those who are having street food outside. Sigh, my life is tough. Within a short period, the godlike First Grade Restaurant was plastered all over the WeChat feeds. Many people were prepared to check the restaurant out. The next morning, the entire old street was filled with a festive atmosphere as Longxian Restaurant opened their doors early in the morning. The dancing lion and dragons were performing non-stop on the road outside the Longxian Restaurant. At the entrance of Longxian Restaurant stood 10 gorgeous-looking models who were smiling all the way. Director Xia, his brother and the manager of the Longxian Restaurant were standing in front of the restaurant with smiles all over their faces. They were happy to see the crowd gathering at their door. Director Xia, it's only 9 a.m. now and what a crowd we have. There will be more people when we officially open at 9:30 am. I bet they will start having their food at 9:30 am. Haha, of course. We're having a promotion of 50% off today. It will be a pity if you are not eating the top-grade seafood at half price, said Director Xia, laughing out loud. Brother, the first-grade restaurant is not even open yet. Interesting, the juvenile next to Director Xia said with a smile. That restaurant will be closed forever, said Director Xia confidently. Director Xia, the beauty, Lin Qingying, is here. More people might be coming later. At this time, the manager of Longxian restaurant saw a pretty girl with a pair of big sunglasses. An assistant was following beside her too. Oh? Get her to come over now. Ask her to sing a song later and participate in the opening ceremony of Longxian restaurant. Director Xia said while beaming. Got it. The manager nodded and went over immediately. Brother, we should hire a top star for our opening. Why would we get someone who is a B-lister? The juvenile asked Director Xia. Lin Qingying might be a B-lister, but she is a special case. She's a star who loves food, and her reviews are spot on. Hence, she has a huge base of fans who are foodies. Getting her is much more appropriate than hiring other A-listers. Director Xia beamed as he spoke. You've got great foresight, brother, the juvenile smiled and replied. Xiao Feng, you're still young. There are things you need to learn. Director Xia smiled at his younger brother. Yes, brother. A simple stage was set up at the entrance of the Longxian restaurant. Hi, Miss Lin Qingying. Director Xia greeted Lin Qingying with a face full of smiles when he saw her walking over. Hello, Director Xia. Lin Qingying smiled and nodded with slight arrogance. Director Xia did not mind at all. He knew that Lin Qingying was quite well off. She gained her popularity from being a foodie and from the 2 songs she sang. She was not the one who was short of money. Now, he was the one who needed her help. Miss Lin Qingying, we'll need you to sing a song for us and introduce the Longxian restaurant later. Is there any problem? Asked Director Xia with a smile. No problem, Director Xia. Since I promised to take on this job, I'll definitely do my best. Lin Qingying tidied her hair and nodded. She was 1.7 meters tall with a perfect figure, and she looked fit. Her lips may have been thin, but they were seductive in their own way. Welcome, everyone, to Longxian Restaurant. Today is the opening of the Longxian Restaurant. We are officially announcing our arrival in Rivertown with the most top-grade seafood and the most delicious food. In this opening ceremony, we have invited the renowned foodie star, Miss Lin Qingying. Next, let's invite Miss Lin Qingying to introduce the Longxian restaurant, which has a rich history. The host stood on the stage with a microphone as he did the introduction. The beautiful and enchanting Lin Qingying walked up to the stage with a handheld microphone and a smiling face. Hello, everyone. I'm Lin Qingying. I'm very honored to be invited here for the opening ceremony of Longxian Restaurant. The Longxian Restaurant. Lin Qingying. She's pretty. Let's go over now. Lin Qingying was invited to this restaurant's opening ceremony. This restaurant is splendid. The publicity of the Longxian restaurant these past few days was strong. I have also heard that it is a high-class seafood restaurant with lots of expensive seafood ingredients. They are quite awesome. The presence of Lin Qingying on the stage drew all the people on the street instantly. Director Xia curved his lips into a smile when he saw the crowd, which almost blocked the entire Longxian restaurant. This time, I want the entire Rivertown, or even the nation, to go crazy with my restaurant opening. Director Xia held his fist tightly as he revealed a confident look. He looked at the first-grade restaurant, which had yet to open, with his lips slightly drawn. At this time, a bunch of food lovers who had nothing to do rushed over when they heard the news. The first-grade restaurant opens at 9:30. Since they are not open yet, let's check out the Longxian restaurant first. Longxian restaurant might have strong publicity, but they seem to lose out to first-grade restaurant by a lot. In any case, we can check them out since we've got nothing to do. I think there's a celebrity over there. Some customers joined the crowd at Longxian restaurant, which was not far away, when they saw the closed door at the first-grade restaurant. Chapter 72, First Grade Restaurant vs. Longxian Restaurant, 4. 9:20 a.m. 10 more minutes to the official opening of Longxian Restaurant. At this moment, Director Xia and Lin Qingying were standing on the platform with the restaurant manager, the chief chef and Director Xia's brother. Everyone had a bright and radiant smile on them. And now we will have the ribbon-cutting ceremony to commemorate Longxian Restaurant's opening and to wish them a bright future ahead. The ribbon-cutting ceremony is complete. Director Xia's face was wreathed with smiles as he took over the microphone and looked at the densely packed crowd in front of him. At this moment, the streets had been congested with people. There were at least 700 to 800 people gathered here, and this made him pleasantly satisfied. First, I'd like to welcome everyone who is here to witness the opening of Longxian Restaurant. As the beautiful Lin Qingying has introduced, our Longxian Restaurant has a long history and a range of top-quality seafood. Today marks the beginning of Longxian Restaurant in Rivertown, and this will signify Longxian Restaurant becoming the best, the most luxurious and the most delicious seafood restaurant in Rivertown. Our Longxian Restaurant has always liked to prove it with our strength. In 5 minutes' time, we will be opening officially. Everyone could come in and try our food. I believe that the top-quality seafood in our Longxian Restaurant will be far superior to those in the nearby first-grade restaurant. Atlantic bluefin marlin sashimi. We have it. Two-headed abalone. We have it. Top-quality caviar. We have it. Australian lobsters and king crab. We have them too. We have every kind of top-quality seafood you can imagine. Director Xia spoke confidently. He was in a state of exuberance and had a confident disposition. Following which, the doors to Longxian Restaurant were opened as he waved his hand. A huge fish was placed right at the main door. This is a little benefit to commemorate the opening of our restaurant, large-sized grouper. It weighs over 300 catties and the market price of it is more than $100 per catty. As long as you eat in our restaurant today, we will be giving you a serving for free. Wow, what a big fish! Grouper. The price of grouper isn't cheap. It's over $100 per catty. This grouper is really huge. Doesn't this mean that this alone is worth $30,000 to $40,000? Longxian Restaurant is really generous to give it out for free. Rich. This Longxian Restaurant is simply rich. Disregarding the publicity over the last few days, one could easily tell its strength by its ability to invite Lin Qingying over. Moreover, the range of top-quality seafood is really wide here. Some people looked at that huge grouper in awe. How extravagant! Awesome! The lips of Director Xia curved into a smile and he was very satisfied with the reactions of the crowd. He smiled faintly at the people below the platform who were busy taking photos with their mobile phones. However, there was a batch of people who were surprisingly not shocked. On the contrary, they were commenting softly, "It's just a grouper. This is a far cry from first-grade restaurant." Yeah. Is this all they got? Why does it feel that they are miles behind first-grade restaurant? Yet they dare to claim to be far ahead of first-grade restaurant. This group of people was puzzled while looking at Director Xia acting cocky on the platform. "Boss, is everything going at 50% of its original price?" A voice of a middle-aged man sounded suddenly. The crowd looked towards Director Xia and was waiting for his reply. "Everything in our restaurant is going at 50% of the original price. This includes the drinks." Director Xia smiled. However, he quickly added, "Naturally, some stuff couldn't possibly be going at 50%. For example, the two-headed abalone. We have spent a lot of effort to get them from Australia and therefore these will be sold at the original price of $450,000. Besides that, Atlantic bluefin marlin and caviar will also not be at 50%. I believe everyone knows the prices of these." However, Director Xia's face was still brimming with confidence. "Our Australian lobsters and king crab will be going at 50%. Just think about being able to have these for slightly over $1,000 when one typically costs $2,000 to $3,000. Isn't this great?" Our Longxian restaurant is really extravagant and generous. The price of a meal would be just $5,000 if it costs $10,000 initially. This is a once-in-a-blue-moon opportunity. Moreover, our promotional activities will only be for today and over the next few days. Today, we have the highest discount of 50%. The manager added from the side. That's a really good deal. It's a perfect deal. Even Australian lobsters and king crab are going for half price. This is simply too cheap. Longxian restaurant is taking a loss with each sale. Awesome, awesome. The crowd couldn't contain their surprise as they exclaimed. Director Xia had also invited some members of the media to record this event. They were taking photos constantly to prepare for future publications. They had already thought of the headlines. For example, extravagant Longxian restaurant. Everything at just 50% on the opening day. Top quality seafood waiting for you to enjoy. The most extravagant restaurant. The most luxurious restaurant. The most delicious restaurant. Top quality restaurant awaits your arrival. However, there was a group of people looking at Director Xia and the manager with a weird expression. A middle-aged man couldn't contain himself and remarked loudly, "Please pardon me for my honest words. If this is all you have, I'm afraid Longxian restaurant has a long way to go to overtake first-grade restaurant." Yeah. To exclude Atlantic bluefin marlin, two-headed abalone and other top-tier ingredients from discounts, you guys are miles behind first-grade restaurant. Yeah. First-grade restaurant is also having a promotional event today and all the ingredients in the restaurant are going at half price. Even a one-headed abalone is at half price. Think about it. A $2 million one-headed abalone going at half price. I thought Longxian restaurant would be generous. What a huge discrepancy from expectation. When the middle-aged man spoke, those customers that were waiting for first-grade restaurant's opening couldn't hold back anymore and seconded. After 5 to 6 people had spoken, the crowd was stunned. Director Xia was also taken aback and looked sternly at those people. You guys are probably hired by first-grade restaurant to cause trouble here. With first-grade restaurant's capabilities, there's no way it has the strength to compete with Longxian restaurant. We are at least 2 tiers ahead. Director Xia's words angered those people. We were hired. They naturally wouldn't be happy about being accused of being something that they weren't. We are hired. What a joke. We are just regular customers and would go to wherever has the most delicious food and widest range of top-quality ingredients. We are just speaking the truth. That's right. I really wonder where you find the courage to say that you guys are 2 tiers above first-grade restaurant. You guys should take a look at others before saying that. Ignorance. It's you guys who are inferior by several tiers as compared to first-grade restaurant and have to rely on a large amount of publicity to gain reputation. You guys should have checked out the difference between Longxian restaurant and first-grade restaurant. The customers below the platform grumbled angrily. Since they were accused of being hired, they wouldn't have to be courteous with Longxian restaurant. Who would have expected that first-grade restaurant would send these troublemakers? What a despicable group of people. Security. Throw these people out. A young man from below the stage was outraged upon seeing the few middle-aged men shouting. Interesting. Interesting. We are just speaking the truth. How do you even dare to be so presumptuous in claiming first-grade restaurant is inferior to you when you haven't even recognized the true strength of first-grade restaurant? I'm just going to say this, and it isn't because I'm biased towards first-grade restaurant. In my opinion, Longxian restaurant is just thrash as compared to first-grade restaurant. You guys are just thrash. Chapter 73, First-grade restaurant versus Longxian restaurant, 5. Chase them off. Chase these troublemakers away. Director Xia turned and said to the security guard. He darkened his expression as soon as he heard the comments on the stage. I don't need you to chase us off. We'll walk out ourselves. In any case, the first-grade restaurant is going to open soon. A middle-aged man spoke to Director Xia coldly as he walked towards the first-grade restaurant. You'll find out who is the best when you walk into the restaurant. How dare you claim yourself as the most generous and luxurious restaurant? Ha, you're far from that. Sigh, I can't even bear to look anymore. The top-graded ingredients of the first-grade restaurant were shared frantically on the WeChat feed. 50% off everything in the shop. Even the one-headed abalone that is worth 2 million is selling at half price. They even have 10 two-headed abalones. Some people commented while shaking their heads. They left the place and headed to the first-grade restaurant. About 80 people left the place with disdainful expressions on their faces as they commented. Some of the people around were stunned as they had no idea about it. They knew nothing about the top-graded seafood of first-grade restaurant and the half-price promotion. After all, someone had only spotted the top-graded seafood of first-grade restaurant last night. Despite how fast it was propagated on the feed, many people remained unaware of it. The surrounding people were somewhat stunned as they watched the group of people departing. Just then, the door of the first-grade restaurant was opened. Subsequently, they took out their advertising signboards and set them up in front of the door. 50% off everything including one-headed abalone, two-headed abalone, Atlantic bluefin marlin, Chinese bahaba fish, and even the wild giant yellow croakers. 50% off everything. A simple advertising signboard with pictures of abalones, Atlantic bluefin marlin, Chinese bahaba fish, and wild giant yellow croakers. Finally, they are opened. Let's go. I heard they placed all the top-graded ingredients at the entrance. If we get them, the chef can cook it on the spot. Let's hurry. The first-grade restaurant has a 50% off promotion, and the place will soon be fully booked. We should start to queue now. Otherwise, we can't get to eat even if we want to. Hurry, I heard that the boss has arowanas that are worth millions of dollars inside. Gosh! This is way too awesome. Those people who left were excited as they ran off hastily when the first-grade restaurant opened their doors for business. Why don't we check it out too? Those people in front of the Longxian restaurant asked hesitantly when they saw the crowd streaming towards the first-grade restaurant. I'll check it out to see if what they said was real. Me too. It should not be possible for the first-grade restaurant to find about 90 people just to act as shills. If what they said was untrue, then they would be smearing their own brand name. That's right, I'll check them out too. We'll wait and see if it is really as awesome as they claimed it would be. Some of the people popped over to the first-grade restaurant while some people were prepared to sit around and observe. For a moment, no one entered the Longxian restaurant. On the stage, Director Xia turned sulky as he held his microphone tightly with killing radiance flickering in his eyes. Don't push, everyone. Line up orderly. Manager Huang was excited to see the influx of customers at the restaurant entrance. Sorry, we're really sorry. We're still in the midst of preparation. So, if you want to have your meals, you might need to wait for more than an hour. You can wait if you're patient enough. Manager Huang yelled at the top of his lungs. His chin was slightly lifted as he was feeling proud. Let's take a look at these displays in front of us. Check out the one-headed abalone and the Chinese bahaba fish. Yes, let's check these out first. Damn, I have never seen one-headed abalone. Not even a Chinese bahaba fish. Manager Huang, even the one-headed abalone that cost more than 2 million, it is also at half price. If someone buys this, won't the shop be losing money? The group of people asked curiously as they marched in. 50% off for everything. This is not empty talk. But all our seafood has to be cooked in the restaurant after purchase to prevent people from reselling our one-headed abalones, Manager Huang answered in a loud voice. Gosh! It's true. This is a godlike promotion. A one-headed abalone at half price means we save over $1 million. Wow, they are really Chinese bahaba fish, wild giant yellow croakers, 2 one-headed abalone, and 10 two-headed abalone. This is simply amazing. What a huge abalone. One of these costs more than 2 million. This is incredible. Too incredible. What a sight. What a goddamned sight. Everyone took out their phones to take photos as they exclaimed in disbelief. And these arowanas. Gosh, Manager Huang, where did your boss find so many precious arowanas that are worth a few million each? You're kidding me. Are they really that expensive? Of course. My friend sells ornamental fish. So, I know something about it. These arowanas looked really impressive. They are worth at least $1 million. Gosh. Then all this seafood and the ornamental fishes would add up to a value of 20 to 30 million. I heard that first-grade restaurant is owned by someone else now. Is the current boss that wealthy? People in front, please wait inside after viewing. Give the people at the back a chance, the customers who were waiting behind said in anticipation as they heard the exclamations from the customers in front. No hurry, the people in the front answered. The people queuing behind are blocking the road. Can the people in front hurry up? The crowd was overwhelming. Some of them entered slowly as they revealed shocked expressions while gazing at the top-graded seafood. All of them took out their phones to snap pictures and share on their WeChat feeds and the internet. How is it? Is it true what those people just said? Some of the ignorant people asked the people in front. It's true. Damn. A huge one-headed abalone, rare Chinese bahaba fish, and a 3 meters Atlantic bluefin marlin. This is simply incredible. Compared to the first-grade restaurant, the Longxian restaurant is totally crap. The grouper is a joke in front of all these top-graded seafoods. The people in the Longxian restaurant are idiots. How could they have the cheek to say the first-grade restaurant is incomparable to them? It should be the other way around. The two of them are not of the same class. How dare they claim to be generous? They are a disgrace in front of the first-grade restaurant. Yes, I don't understand how they have the guts to make such proclamations. They even invited a celebrity over. They are obviously not on par with them. What can they do, even if they get the top stars here? Many people were talking about it. Soon, the news spread outside. Those people were not shills. What they said was true. The people outside were dumbfounded when they heard the description from the people inside. Just like what the angry man had said. Compared to the first-grade restaurant, Longxian restaurant is crap. The two of them are not of the same class. Chapter 74, First-grade restaurant versus Longxian restaurant, End. The old street was more buoyant than normal today. It was especially so in the vicinity of first-grade restaurant. Just a while ago, all the traffic was gathered at the well-decorated entrance of Longxian restaurant. However, at this very moment, it looked a little deserted. This is crazy. This is crazy. First-grade restaurant is full right now. I couldn't even squeeze in if I wished. I was still thinking of going to take a look at the one-headed abalone. I have never seen a one-headed abalone in my life. One-headed abalone, two-headed abalone, Atlantic bluefin marlin, Chinese bahaba fish, yellow croaker fish and several precious ornamental arowana. First-grade restaurant's promotional activity is truly shocking. First-grade restaurant truly deserves its name. However, Longxian restaurant is in an embarrassing situation now. They have been publicizing fervently and even invited a star over. During the opening speech, they even claimed to be much better than first-grade restaurant. This is simply a slap to their own face. Yeah, a slap to their own face. Longxian restaurant publicized that everything is going at half price but exclude two-headed abalone, Atlantic bluefin marlin and some top-quality ingredients. However, everything is going at half price at first-grade restaurant. First-grade restaurant is clearly to take a loss with each sale. This is a contest between first-grade restaurant and Longxian restaurant, but it seems like Longxian restaurant has been handed a complete defeat. At the entrance of Longxian restaurant, some customers took a glance at Longxian restaurant. They shook their heads and walked towards first-grade restaurant just a short distance away. Director Xia was shivering in anger while standing by the side and hearing their conversation. He gritted his teeth and clenched his fist tightly. Defeat. Utter defeat. From the beginning to the end, the boss of first-grade restaurant had never shown his face. And from the beginning to the end, first-grade restaurant had never done any publicity. Relying on just strength, first-grade restaurant had completely rolled over Longxian restaurant. How can this be possible? How did he get his hands on such precious seafood? Director Xie's eyes were filled with disbelief. He thought that he was already great to be able to get two-headed abalone and Atlantic bluefin marlin. However, just a simple comparison and it was clear that he was far from it. Director Xie, we, the middle-aged manager of Longxian restaurant walked out and stammered with sorrow. Damn it! Director Xie turned his head over and stared at the middle-aged man with murderous intent. Didn't I ask you to investigate the background of the boss of first-grade restaurant? Didn't I ask you to keep a lookout of their actions? These are the results of your investigation. Director Xie, this really isn't my fault. I had not expected this either. They only brought out these ingredients last night. At that time, we were having the celebratory feast, the manager said righteously. Celebratory feast. When Director Xie heard these words, it felt full of mockery. Celebratory feast? A celebratory feast for this darn outcome? Brother, what should we do? The young man from the side walked over and asked Director Xie with a face of sorrows. After investing close to $20 million, we can't just let it be. Director Xie clenched his fist tightly as a violent look flashed past his eyes. The young man was taken aback but soon revealed the same expression. Brother, I also feel that we shouldn't just let this go. Brother-in-law's strength could be considered really strong in Rivertown. Should we look for him? Director Xie took out a cigarette and lit it. I'll go make a call. Longxian restaurant will operate as planned. The victory of this showdown will belong to us. Director Xie sneered at the people around and headed directly to the office in Longxian restaurant. The surrounding members of the media and publicity personnel took a look at Longxian restaurant before looking at first-grade restaurant just a short distance away. Suddenly, they were lost as to how to write their articles. Lin Qingying also looked inquisitively at first-grade restaurant and her eyes were shimmering. Boss, we have succeeded. There are barely any customers at Longxian restaurant and we have a full house right here. There are still a lot of people waiting to come in to take a look. At this moment, Manager Huang spoke excitedly to Wang Xian within the office in first-grade restaurant. As expected. Wang Xian's lips curved slowly into a smile. Since we have started the activity today, we better do it well. This will be tough on the employees. Get something good for lunch. It's not tough. It's not tough. After this incident, it wouldn't be easy for Longxian restaurant to get up again. On the contrary, with the seafood that boss had brought over, our business would only get better and better. Manager Huang said joyously. Definitely. Oh right, Manager Huang. Reserve a private lounge for me tonight. I'll like to invite some friends over for dinner. Wang Xian said to Manager Huang. All right, Director Wang. Manager Huang nodded his head. Xiao Xian, you are really awesome. The moment Manager Huang left, Guan Shuqing looked at Wang Xian with total respect. That's a given. Wang Xian smiled satisfactorily. It was a little beyond his expectations to be able to win this showdown so easily. Although he brought over quite a substantial amount of top-quality ingredients from the ocean the last few days and Longxian restaurant was miles away from first-grade restaurant, Longxian restaurant shouldn't have been defeated so utterly. However, their mistakes were on the discounts given and that they were too petty about the discounts. First-grade restaurant was also providing 50% off like Longxian restaurant. However, first-grade restaurant's 50% discount was on all ingredients. As for Longxian restaurant's 50% discount, it did not include those top-quality ingredients. Besides that, they were still emphasizing how extravagant they were at their opening ceremony. In the end, this became a tight slap on their own faces. Comparing would only reveal one's shortcomings. If Longxian restaurant did not compare themselves with first-grade restaurant, they were indeed really awesome. However, in a simple comparison, the difference between them was stark. Even Wang Xian had not expected that the arrogant director Xia would be such a Scrooge. However, Wang Xian was able to do so because these top-quality ingredients did not cost him anything as he caught them from the seas. However, Director Xia had to spend real cash to purchase his ingredients. Wang Xian lied on the chair leisurely and was smiling as he witnessed the rise of first-grade restaurant. What happened on Old Street today was soon spread to the majority of Rivertown. Many group chats, Weibo, chat groups and forums were discussing first-grade restaurant. The reputation of first-grade restaurant had also quickly spread to other cities as it became sensational over the internet. In this era, a Chinese bahaba fish would be enough to make the headlines, let alone a restaurant in possession of such a range of top-quality ingredients. As for Longxian Restaurant, who had been publicizing fervently over the past few days, they had now become the joke. A showdown ended with Longxian Restaurant's complete defeat. Late at night, some media houses who caught the news carried their cameras over to first-grade restaurant to visit the hottest restaurant in Rivertown. Wang Xian saw it from his office. After which, he sent manager Huang over to receive them. When it came to interviews from the media, Wang Xian was still very willing to accept them. This was a very good way to achieve publicity. Let's go and try the food of first-grade restaurant. More importantly, have a taste of the legendary fish gelatin from the Chinese bahaba fish that is rumored to be a great beauty supplement. Qingying, first-grade restaurant is probably full today. It's fine. With this face of mine, the boss would definitely give us a table. Hee, we might even get it for free. At the entrance, Lin Qingying wore a huge face mask and entered first-grade restaurant with her assistant. Chapter 75, Even a Celebrity Must Queue. The first-grade restaurant at night was not only fully occupied. Many people were also queuing in the waiting area near the entrance. Many customers were gazing at the expensive world-class seafood. When Lin Qingying walked into the restaurant, her brows slightly knit together as she looked inside. The people were overwhelming such that the restaurant seemed overcrowded. However, it was normal since the first-grade restaurant was too famous. Lin Qingying raised an eyebrow as she looked at the front desk staff. She asked the staff over at the counter, "Are there any seats available?" "Nope. You can take a queue number. But I don't recommend you wait if there are too many people in front of you," the front desk staff said with a smile. Lin Qingying frowned and continued, "Please get your boss here." "Her? What's the matter, babe?" Wang Xian had just walked out of his office when he heard Lin Qingying. Hence, he looked at her with a puzzled look. "Are you the boss over here?" Lin Qingying stared at Wang Xian with surprise. "Yes, what's the matter?" Wang Xian asked with a smile. "Can you give me a seat? I would like to taste the delicacy of the first-grade restaurant and the fish gelatin of the Chinese bahaba fish." Lin Qingying removed her sunglasses, revealing her look as she smiled at Wang Xian. Lin Qingying. When Lin Qingying took off her sunglasses, the staff at the side exclaimed and took her phone out for pictures. Lin Qingying revealed a confident look as soon as she saw the reaction of the staff. Lin Qingying. Wang Xian recognized the beauty in front of him. She was the renowned food celebrity who had taken part in the opening ceremony of Longxian Restaurant this morning. "Can we?" Lin Qingying raised her eyebrows slightly as she continued asking Wang Xian. "How many people are there in the queue?" Wang Xian did not answer her. Instead, he asked the staff at the side. "Director Wang, there are 25 more people in the queue." The staff replied. 25? Wang Xian nodded and turned to the sexy Lin Qingying. Regretfully, he said, "I'm sorry, Miss Lin Qingying. There are 25 tables in front of you. I'm afraid today is not possible. Please come early tomorrow." Wang Xian had stunned Lin Qingying with his statement as she looked at him with disbelief. Lin Qingying was not expecting such an answer from the other party. She was a celebrity, a food celebrity. Her presence in any restaurant would be its best publicity. Yet, this young man had turned her down flat. This was embarrassing to her. She looked at Wang Xian with radiance flickering in her eyes, Do you know who I am? The question posed by Lin Qingying stunned Wang Xian. He chuckled and replied immediately, "What has that got to do with it?" "You," Wang Xian's reply infuriated her, "you actually reject me from dining in here?" Lin Qingying looked at Wang Xian with a dirty look. In the past, all the managers or bosses would deliver their dishes personally wherever she had her meals. All of them were hoping to receive good reviews from her. If she could post their restaurant on her Weibo, that would be even better. Yet, the first-grade restaurant had the cheek to ask her to return tomorrow. This boiled the blood of the prideful girl. "This beautiful lady over here has a funny way of talking, I guess. The restaurant is full now. If you want to have your food here, you can wait. But we'll stop receiving guests at 9 p.m. Till then, if it's not your turn, too bad. Celebrities are all the same. They don't get to enjoy any privilege here." Wang Xian looked at the prideful Lin Qingying and spoke to her impassively. Subsequently, he walked to the front desk, ignoring her. Lin Qingying was infuriated, as her anger was written all over her face after hearing what Wang Xian said. Some of the customers who were waiting spotted the commotion. When they saw Lin Qingying, all of them had a surprised look on their faces. When they overheard the conversations between Lin Qingying and the boss, they were stupefied. "The boss is really superb. You need to wait if you want to eat. That goes for the celebrities. The first-grade restaurant doesn't even need celebrities to promote them." Lin Qingying, who would have thought that the boss would keep her waiting when she wants to dine in this restaurant? But yes, so what if you're a star? The first-grade restaurant is capable on their own without the need for any celebrities' promotions. The first-grade restaurant lives up to its name. They are domineering. With such capability, you need to queue for their food even if you're a food celebrity. Some customers praised Wang Xian for the way he dealt with the situation while some looked at him with a sneer. There were several media members, not far away from them, who recorded down the scene with excitement on their faces. They were not expecting to meet Lin Qingying when they were only here for the coverage of the first-grade restaurant. The news was simply too juicy. They already thought of ways to publicize it. Headlines. Breaking news. Lin Qingying was told to wait in the queue by the boss when she was here for the food. Even celebrities need to queue. No privilege. Or. Shocking. The first-grade restaurant is so capable that they do not need the celebrities' promotion. So what if you are Lin Qingying? Queue up. Lin Qingying had a complicated facial expression when she heard the surrounding comments. "Qingying, let's leave this place. The media are here too," the assistant next to her said to her anxiously when she noticed the media snapping photos of them. Lin Qingying took a deep breath. She put on her sunglasses and walked out, embarrassed. Wang Xian lifted his head. As Lin Qingying departed, he had a faint disdainful look on his face. So what if you are a star? Longxian restaurant might need publicity, but not first-grade restaurant. One by one, Wang Xian's friends turned up at about 7 o'clock in the evening. Old Qin brought along his wife, Qin Lianhui, as well as little Kite. 4 members from old Shue's family, including Shui Jing's mother, were here. Lan Qinyue showed up too. When Wang Xian had invited them over for a meal, both old Shui and old Qin agreed without any hesitation. Guan Shuqing came over happily too. "Today, I would like to invite everyone to have a taste of the food in the first-grade restaurant." Wang Xian beamed at everyone as the dishes were brought to the table. Looking at the dishes that were worth over 1 million on the table, old Shui exclaimed, TSK, buddy Wang Xian, you're too generous. Two-headed abalone, Atlantic bluefin marlin sashimi, wild giant yellow croakers, and Chinese bahaba fish's gelatin soup. This is too extravagant. This is the first time in my life to have such extravagant dishes. All thanks to buddy Wang Xian, old Qin laughed out loud as he said to Wang Xian. I have to bring out the best when I'm hosting my friends. If not, that would be too stingy of me, Wang Xian chuckled. The fish gelatin of the Chinese bahaba fish is good for the ladies. It enhances the beauty and enriches the blood flow. Xiao Xian, you're sincere in buying us a meal. Lan Qingyue, who was sitting on the left of Wang Xian, laughed as she said. Hee hee, it's half price today. I don't feel bad with some orders. Wang Xian joked while Guan Shuqing on his right smiled. Buddy Wang Xian and the two beauties over here, let's have a toast. In the future, you can look for me if you need any help. The Qin family will definitely help you out. Thank you, Grandpa Qin. Both Guan Shuqing and Lan Qingyue quickly raised their glasses. Wang Xian and the rest of the people finished their drinks in a gulp. The Shui family and the Qin family were great friends. It was only courteous to reciprocate their friendship. Wang Xian bought them a meal to strengthen their bond. On the other hand, the two influential families, Qin and Shui families, were very happy to befriend Wang Xian. Chapter 76, Whose Fireworks? When the dinner ended, it was already around 11 p.m. Wang Xian was surprised to see two beautiful girls still around after sending off old Qin and old Shui. Are you not going home too? Wang Xian gave a gentle smile and asked Lan Qingyue. Wang Xian wasn't very familiar with Lan Qingyue. The number of times they had met and chat could be counted with a single hand. Nonetheless, his impression of Lan Qingyue was still very good. It was especially so after the incident at the banquet. With regard to this cold-looking girl, he did have some good feelings for her. However, such feelings hadn't reached the level he had for Guan Shuqing. It's late now. I'll probably head back to the dormitory to sleep. Lan Qingyue smiled, looking to Guan Shuqing before asking Wang Xian, are you heading back to the dormitory too? Yeah, I can't possibly be sleeping in the restaurant. Wang Xian smiled and turned to Guan Shuqing. Let's go, it's pretty late now. Let's head back. All right. In that case, let's walk back. Your motorcycle is unlikely to fit 3 people. Guan Shuqing joked. That's true. Wang Xian replied with a smile. This darned heavy-duty motorcycle had problems fetching an additional person, let alone ferrying 2 people. Let's walk back together, suggested Wang Xian. Sure. I'm feeling so full from the dinner. Walking back can help in the digestion. Guan Shuqing nodded her head. Lan Qingyue felt a little uncomfortable listening to the conversation between the two of them from the side. Nonetheless, she squeezed out a smile on her face. The night skies are really beautiful today. Let's walk back together. I wonder if the people from the school would kill you with their gazes if they saw you walking with 2 beautiful girls. Haha, that's true. You two are well-known beauties of our school and considered as goddess-like existences. I'll probably walk slower on our way back in a while. Wang Xian chuckled. Lan Qingyue was to his left in a black dress and had the disposition of a cold-looking goddess. Guan Shuqing was to his right and had a faint smile on her. She had the disposition of a cute and adorable goddess. Both of them were very tall because of their fine family backgrounds and were considered by many as goddesses. Guan Shuqing rolled her eyes at Wang Xian before commenting, let's go, let's go. Thank you, boss, for treating us to such a great dinner today. Yeah, Xiao Xian. If there's something so delicious in the future, don't forget to call me along. Lan Qingyue added in a hurry. Sure, that's not a problem. If there's anything delicious in the future, I'll call you along. Wang Xian walked between the 2 beautiful girls and could smell 2 different fragrances. This made his face light up with impish glee. Xiao Xian, I really have to thank you for this. Because of you, our Lan family has gotten closer to Qin family. Oh yeah. Xiao Xian, my father has been thinking of apologizing to you for that incident. He would like to ask you out for dinner but I told him that you aren't free. Along the way, Wang Xian realized that Guan Shuqing and Lan Qingyue had many things to talk about. All he could do was to nod his head in approval while listening. They started from their families to interesting incidents that happened in school. Throughout the journey, it was an enjoyable experience for all of them. After sending the two girls to the girls' dormitory, Wang Xian waved and bade goodbye to the two of them. See you tomorrow. Guan Shuqing looked to Wang Xian and waved back. Sure. Wang Xian nodded his head and waved at them before heading back to his dormitory. Looking at the back view of Wang Xian, Lan Qingyue and Guan Shuqing suddenly quietened down. A unique atmosphere started forming around them. Junior, I wouldn't just give up. Suddenly, Lan Qingyue broke the silence. She flicked her long and silky hair and exhibited a strong sense of confidence. I have more interactions with him and that's an advantage. Guan Shuqing smiled radiantly and said to Lan Qingyue. She was also exhibiting the same confident disposition. Fair competition. Lan Qingyue looked at Guan Shuqing before walking up the stairs. Looking at her back view, Guan Shuqing suddenly had a bitter feeling. She mumbled, although I'm confident, my mum said that all men would eat from their bowl but stare at what's inside the pot. It is especially so when there's such a tasty piece of meat in the pot. Wang Xian didn't know about the conversation between the two girls after he left. When he got back into the dormitory, he took a shower and stretched his back. It had been extremely tiring for him over the last few days as he was actively looking for Chinese bahaba fish and Atlantic bluefin marlin. However, just as he was about to get into bed, his expression changed. Damn it! Disturbing my rest. Wang Xian immediately put on his clothes, walked out of his dormitory and ran quickly towards first-grade restaurant. In the wee hours of the day, he moved like a phantom. If one simply used his naked eyes, all he could see was a black figure flashing past him. Brother-in-law, would there be a problem if we burned down his restaurant? At the entrance of Old Street, a luxurious Bentley was parked at the left side of the road. Within the car, a young man was sitting in the driver's seat. Director Xia was sitting beside the driver's seat and a young man was sitting in the back of the car. Rest assured. A restaurant catching fire is just a small issue. Moreover, what can they possibly do even if they can find some traces? The young man in the driver's seat said with indifference as he smoked. Thank you, brother-in-law. If we didn't have you, I really wouldn't know what to do. Director Xia was sitting beside and kept a very low profile. This is just a small issue. Look for me if you encounter any issues in Rivertown. I'll settle it for you, the young man said nonchalantly as though burning down a famous restaurant was nothing in his eyes. Brother-in-law is from one of the top ancient martial arts family in Rivertown. We weren't intending to disturb you initially and wanted to invite you over for a meal. However, we encountered this troublesome incident. Director Xia smiled. Hehe, it isn't too late if you invite me a few days from now. Come, let us enjoy the fireworks. The young man retracted the roof of the Bentley. Fireworks, fireworks. The juvenile sitting in the back seat revealed an excited expression. Director Xia's lips curved slightly and gave a cold and faint smirk. He was already thinking of going to witness the despairing look on that Brett the next day. Mess with me? You aren't qualified. Although Xia family's influence isn't in Rivertown, I could still easily crush you. Director Xia took out a cigarette leisurely and waited patiently for the fireworks to start. Swoosh! However, they hadn't noticed a figure charging over from the side. Them? Wang Xian was still able to see the surroundings clearly while running. When his gaze swept past the Bentley convertible at the road junction, he had a thought. Swoosh! In the blink of an eye, Wang Xian had appeared at the entrance of the restaurant. There wasn't anyone around Old Street in the wee hours of the day and all the shops were closed. At the location of first-grade restaurant, two figures were lying down on the floor. Dragon King, these two people tried to burn down first-grade restaurant. A burly old man stood at the entrance of first-grade restaurant and he was none other than Mo Qinglong. With goods worth several tens of millions in first-grade restaurant currently, Wang Xian naturally wouldn't feel safe. Therefore, he had arranged for Mo Qinglong to guard this place at night. As Mo Qinglong was his bloodline descendant, he could contact Wang Xian through a unique method within a 3-kilometer radius. Martial artists? Wang Xian was surprised to see the two unconscious people on the ground. Yes, Dragon King. Both of them are level 5 martial artists and could be considered to be quite strong. Mo Qinglong said. 2 martial artists. When Wang Xian recalled the luxurious Bentley convertible at the road junction previously, an image of a young man surfaced in his mind. Who would have expected you guys to employ such despicable means? In that case. Wang Xian's eyes flickered and looked away from first-grade restaurant. In that case, I'll give you guys a fireworks show. Chapter 77, Beautiful Fireworks. Crack. Immobilize the 2 of them and follow me to meet the culprit behind this. A blazing fire suddenly rose as Wang Xian walked out from the Longxian restaurant. With a scoffing look on his face, he walked towards the old street. Yes, Dragon King. Mo Qinglong, with a pair of passionate eyes, nodded respectfully. With just an arm's swing of the Dragon King just now, the place was engulfed by the blazing fire. Such formidable superpower. Even if his cultivation attained the inborn level, he could never duplicate that. Wang Xian enveloped the entire Longxian restaurant with his fire attribute. Soon, the restaurant was burning. The fireworks are up. It's so beautiful. When the flames rose, the juvenile sitting in the Bentley sports car stood up as he watched the fireworks in the old street from a distance. It's beautiful, it's beautiful. Director Xia had an intoxicated look on his face. First-grade restaurant. How dare you fight with me? This is your end. Brother-in-law, thanks to you this time. No big deal. The young man flicked the ash off his cigarette with a slacking face. This was a piece of cake for him. He did not care about burning down a restaurant. When that young man finds out that his restaurant has been turned into ashes tomorrow, he probably will hug himself and cry. The juvenile stared at the firework in the distance with excitement. This is his end. Director Xia took a deep puff. Satisfying. Yes, the fireworks are beautiful. Stunningly gorgeous. Just then, an unfamiliar voice was heard suddenly from the car. Of course, when the juvenile heard this, he responded instinctively. But soon, he realized that something was amiss. The voice seemed to be coming from the seat next to him. But there should be no one beside him. He spun his head around and revealed a shocking look in his eyes. You. He pointed at Wang Xian with a look of disbelief. Who are you? The young man who was sitting in the driver's seat sensed an oppressive danger instantly. He stood up immediately and looked at Wang Xian with disbelief. He then swept his gaze across Mo Qinglong, who was standing next to the car. He had not sensed anyone near him. Me? Wang Xian revealed a playful expression when he saw the young man staring at him, shocked. Let them introduce me. How? How did you come in? Director Xia was also stunned when he turned around and saw Wang Xian in the car. Hey, don't be panicked. Look at the fireworks. They're so beautiful. Wang Xian looked at the distant fireworks with a smile. That place. No. That is, Director Xia noticed his composure, so he turned around to look carefully again. Subsequently, his body trembled as he spun and stared at Wang Xian with his bloodshot eyes. How dare you burn down my Longxian restaurant? What? Longxian restaurant is the one on fire? The juvenile was shocked, with mixed expressions on his face. Brother-in-law, kill him. Kill him. How dare he? Shut up. At this time, Ren Anji stared at Wang Xian and Mo Qinglong with wariness on his face. When he heard the juvenile's voice, he yelled at him in a cold voice. Immediately, the juvenile shut up upon hearing him. But he glared furiously at Wang Xian. Yes, that's the Longxian restaurant. Look, now it has turned into fireworks. How beautiful. Wang Xian looked into the distance with a beaming face. Which family or sect are you from? Asked Ren Anji with a cold face. He did not dare to make any reckless moves as he could sense significant threats from them. Which family are you from then? Wang Xian turned around and looked at him with smiles on his face when he heard Ren Anji's question. Ren family in Rivertown. Ren Anji said emotionlessly. Oh, Ren family, ranked second in the ancient martial artist families of Rivertown. Quite a formidable family. Wang Xian drew his lips slightly when he listened to him. From old Shui, he had already found out the rankings of the families in Rivertown. Ren family was in second place. The strongest martial artist was a level 8 elder in the Ren family. Together with another 2 level 7 martial artists, they made a powerful team. But to him, they were nothing if he just flicked his finger. Well, that's the end of the fireworks. Finish them off. Wang Xian slowly opened the door and instructed Mo Qinglong next to him. Yes, Dragon King. Mo Qinglong nodded as he stared at Ren Anji. Finish me off. Ren Anji was infuriated when he heard what Wang Xian said. With a cold face, he said, let me tell you this. No matter who you are, the Ren family will not be afraid of you. You talk too much, Mo Qinglong said impassively as he stretched out his arm to seize him. Seeking your own death. Ren Anji was furious when he sensed Mo Qinglong's contempt. He curled his fingers into a fist and hurled at Mo Qinglong. Too weak. Mo Qinglong shook his head gently. Without any additional movements, he grabbed Ren Anji's fist with no difficulties. Oh no! Ren Anji was horrified, with eyes full of disbelief. He was a level 5 expert. Ren family? Regardless of which family you're from, you'll need to pay a hefty price for provoking the Dragon King. Mo Qinglong said impassively. With a pair of fearful eyes, Ren Anji felt a powerful stream of internal energy gushing towards his elixir field. Caw caw caw. Sounds of cracks were heard. Ren Anji could not help but spit a mouthful of blood. His eyes were full of despair. You ruined my elixir field. You are actually a half-step to inborn. Feeling the intense pain from his body and the vast internal energy from the elder before him, he trembled in fear as the oppression continued to lurk in his heart as if something heavy had fallen from the sky onto him. Killing you or wiping the entire Ren family out is not a big deal. Mo Qinglong spoke to Ren Anji nonchalantly. No. I beg you, Ren Anji narrowed his eyes as he pleaded desperately. Humph. Mo Qinglong scoffed at him. With a swing, Ren Anji fell heavily on the car. Mo Qinglong then spun around to look at the remaining 2 people. No. Don't. Director Xia was appalled to see his mighty brother-in-law torpified. It's too late. Mo Qinglong swung his arm again and hit the limbs of Director Xia with his immense energy. Ah! Director Xia was screaming in despair. No, don't kill me, no. The juvenile was so petrified that he knelt in the car quickly. He was only 19, and he was about to enter the university. He had yet to experience so many wonderful things in life. Useless thing. Mo Qinglong revealed a disdainful look. He swung his arm again, and the immense energy entered his body. All his limbs were crippled. Looking at the 3 people who were rolling in pain in the car, Wang Xian sneered and headed to the school. Let's settle the underworld matter in the underworld. You're welcome to seek revenge from me. If you dare to do any despicable things, this would not be the end, Mo Qinglong said coldly and returned to protecting the first-grade restaurant. I'm doomed. I'm completely destroyed. Half-step to inborn. He's actually a half-step to inborn expert. Ren Anji stared in the air blankly as he went into a trance. The previous slack, casual look was long gone. The fireworks in the distance seemed to be burning their souls away.